Hello everyone and welcome back to the MCP Majors Season 3. It is week 2. That is right folks, week 2 of the Free Fire action, and I'm here with Abstract as well as AJ. How you two doing?
Absolutely
Well,
fine.
We are definitely fine, one thing's for sure.
Okay, there we go. I think we're good. We're good! Nice! Alright.
There we go.
Apparently, I had to time travel from the past to the future, but you guys could hear me fine. But anyways, it is week 2 of the Free Fire action here, and I'm joined with two fantastic casters. I've got AJ and Abstract, my two favorite people to put together. I'm really excited about the broadcast for today. I know everyone else is excited for this weekend, but I want to ask you two, going into week 2, what are you most excited about? Let's start with Abstract.
Okay, what am I most excited about? Well, I think I'm most excited about the fact that I am sharing this panel with the two of you.
Aww.
That's really sweet of you, man. Natalie, I'm looking forward to Geek Fam to, I guess, moving up the leaderboards just a little bit. So far, they've really been focusing on their kills, but not really on their placement points, right? And I'm pretty sure they've taken note of that last week. This is the week where they pick up some placements for them. The winners of MCP Major Season 2 haven't really showed up all that too much on the battlefield.
Absolutely right, actually. Geek Fam, they had a bit of a strange performance last week. I think that was the best way to put it, right? So day one, the team was a little bit cold, but to be fair, I think day one, if you're gonna be cold, it's day one. Day 2 was when we saw the real Geek Fam. I think everyone was looking at day 2, they thought, this is the team that we know and love, and they're back. And then day 3, it was as if we sort of went back in time and it sort of just turned into a day 1 again. And I think a lot of us, including the panel, were all kind of baffled with their performance. It was very difficult to really pinpoint what happened, but I think this week it's going to be a good time for us to see whether Geek Fam is back, right?
I'll say, when it comes down to Geek Fam, I'm not exactly sure what to expect coming from Geek Fam. But one thing is for sure is that we have Xac, and understandably, Xac he himself is the most famous, prominent player within of Geek Fam. I believe that he has a very big shoe to fill here. So I just want to see what they have got for us.
Well, speaking of what we got for our fans, haha, nice segue. So here's our tournament format for today. So as usual, we're going to be rotating between 2 maps. And today it's going to be Bermuda and Kalahari. So as for Purgatory, we're going to be seeing this map tomorrow and Sunday. So don't worry if you're Purgatory fans. I think Bermuda and Kalahari, these maps are just as fun to watch. And as usual, we're going to be starting off with teams in Group A going up against Group B. Then we'll play Group B versus Group C. And then finally, teams from Group A will be able to take on Group C to close out today's play day. Now, of course, we have our point system. The points, they haven't really changed over the course of the MCPs, but for our newer viewers, just to quickly reiterate, teams that are able to secure the booyah for the round will get themselves 12 points. Second place, you'll get 9. Third, you'll get 8. And then as you go down, the points become less and less. Now, unfortunately, if you end up in last or 11th place, you will get absolutely 0 points. But you can offset this with kills, as each kill will net your team a point. And we have seen some teams be able to shoot up the leaderboard after actually going down with a considerable number of kills. So depending on the team's play style, they might end up pretty high, or if they don't get anything, then unfortunately, they're going to be ending at the bottom of the bracket. Now, speaking of teams, here are our 18 teams competing over the course of the tournament. So as you can see, Group A, B, and C. And we've had one play week already. I'm going to start with AJ this time. What group do you feel is the strongest so far, performance-wise?
Strongest group so far performance-wise, I mean, it's still up and down, right? Because day 1, we saw the rise of the underdogs, and then day 2 and 3, we saw the big dogs of the competition step right back up to the plate. It's not really much into the groups, but if I really had to pick one, I would stick with Group B, the ones with Geek Fam in it.
We'll jump to Abstract in just a second, but very quickly. But here is our league stage prize pool. So for our newer viewers as well, there are 2 stages to the MCP Major Season 3. We are currently in the first stage, which is league stage, where the teams are participating for not only this prize pool, but they're also aiming for top 12. Now, as you can see, we've got a very hefty prize pool for our top 4 teams, and it does progressively go down. But ultimately, these teams are aiming for top 12, because if you manage to make it to top 12, you'll move over to the grand final, which is what everyone is aiming for. The grand final, you've got a separate prize pool, and it's where the big money is at. And of course, in the grand final, it's not just the money as well, but you're also looking at a couple of spots to upcoming tournaments. So there's even more on the line for these teams. But before anything abstract, I kind of want to ask your opinion about the standings. Take a look at it very quickly as well, just so that our viewers are up to date on where the teams are currently at. Blacklist are sitting in first place with 177 points, and they have a very even distribution of placement as well as kill points, followed by Todak. Then we have Axis Esports, GeekFam in fourth, and then we have E-Wolves Gang in fifth place. Now, Abstract, I'm going to pivot that question I asked on AJ to you. Just looking at the teams and what we have seen so far, I kind of want to hear your opinion on who you feel like are going to be some top teams that we really need to keep an eye on, minus the standard.
Okay, so the thing is, when it comes down to this season's MCP season, Major Season 3, I believe that when it comes down to on paper, a lot of these teams are actually very strong, especially if they are already pretty well known. For example, Blacklist International, Do Easy, Orange, Vede, Bloody Heads, Todak, so on and so forth, right? And I'm not surprised to see them at the top of the leaderboards. In fact, I don't think that whatever that I have on paper, that whichever team is good, I don't think that they will be falling off too low. Like, this current overall standings pretty much reflects what I'm thinking about these teams, except for the fact that Vede Esports is all the way at 14th place. I think that they can definitely fly a lot higher.
Yeah, that was actually something that the panelists, they were very dead set on, right? There was a lot of support for Vede Esports, a lot of expectations for the team, but they haven't quite made it. But they still do have time to recoup. Maybe today, or at least this week, could be Vede Esports week. But speaking of Vede Esports, not just them, but also their Filipino brothers. It's interesting this season because we saw that there was a lot of Filipino domination in the previous MCPs, but now we're looking at a lot of Malaysian domination. I kind of want to hear if you have any leads as to why it's like this season.
Well, when it comes down to that, I believe that it is mostly comes down to a couple of roster swaps, and especially to all of the other teams out there. A lot of these teams have got new players and they don't even have any previous appearances before. But before I continue talking about that, I believe that Daddely would want to talk something about whatever is at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, I do actually. As you can see, we do have a giveaway that's going to be happening later today. Not now, okay? This is happening later, but of course, stick around, don't go anywhere, because once we reveal the code, you'll be able to share this code with your friends, your family, your squad mates. 2 free boxes. Who can say no to 2 free boxes? Abstract, I'll let you continue on with your thought process. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so I have so much to spit out, so much to regurgitate, but I have to, kind of calm myself down and say what I can. Most importantly, we'll talk about Vede Esports. I'm just going to be thinking about the fact that, yeah, maybe Vede Esports is just not feeling their best at this point in time, and maybe they're just, still feeling the current lobby, how all of these team plays, or maybe even hiding some of their tactics. Because for Vede Esports, which is which was previously known as Supreme Assault Forces, they are actually the only team in the MCP Season 3 who has been a recurring team, a known team, and they haven't had a single roster swap.
I mean, that could be a good thing, right? It means that you're committing to your teammates, right? The dedication to be able to stick with that roster. But we'll have to see if that's going to pay off for these teams, as our first game is about to begin. So, of course, I'm going to pass it over to my wonderful casters, Abstract and AJ. Please take it away for game 1.
Well, AJ, all I can say that when it comes to this game, it is all about, proficiency. And all I can say to all of these players is, well, May the best team wins, and of course, may the odds be ever in your favor.
What a great way to open up week number 2, day number 1, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as we hop on into Bermuda. Let's take a quick peek and see exactly where the flight path cuts through, because it will determine exactly which one of these teams get the advantage from the get-go here.
Well, the flight path is going to be starting off somewhere around 7 o'clock, ending off at 1 o'clock, and it's just going to be cutting right straight through the center point of Bermuda, allowing all of these teams to actually go to anywhere that they want. But just so happened that 3 teams really wants Mars Electric, and in this case, we have Bloody Heads, Eastern Wolves Gang, and Todak. And this is not good, because right off the bat, it's just before the first minute mark, we are looking at one person that has been shot already, and I'm not even sure what to expect for this game and maybe for the coming few games.
Actually, I have some bad news, folks. We have to actually go for a very quick remake. So for anyone that's wondering where the game has gone, it's coming back. It's just I believe we have some tech issues when the teams dropped in. I'm sorry, we will come back. I promise. Abstract was so excited. I know.
Whatever it is, those 3 teams, they get away. And perhaps when we jump on into Bermuda right after this, Mars Electric's not going to be that busy, Abstract.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. I want it to happen. I want all 3 teams. Like they know that they're going to drop there, right? So why not just commit? Just go in there. You know, just do it.
Now it's all about reverse psychology, right? It's like the understanding that, you know, the hot drops is always the non-hot drops in competitive play. So in this case, it's like, yeah, you went to Mars Electric and you saw that the 3 people in Mars Electric, thus you may think that you are going to go away, or you may think that we are going to go away, but no, we are going to go back in while you guys go away thinking that we are going to not go away.
I understand exactly why you're called Abstract right now, man. that boggled my mind so much, but I absolutely agree with you, right? It's all about the mind games in here. And the question is, who's going to be backing away from that situation? I don't think the remake will allow the time for all of these players to catch the first part of the stream, because obviously within the game itself, they don't have the kill feed on. There's no way of finding out exactly who's in front of them. There weren't that many kills in there as well. And by the time they jump on back, all they have information of right now is, yes, there was somebody else at Mars Electric. I don't even think they know exactly how many people or how many squads, Abstract.
I believe
yeah.
so. In fact, since no one got knocked down, as you have said, they have no idea which team it was, and perhaps some of these teams may actually want to try and play it out and just see, you know what, we are at the top of the leaderboards. We believe that we have the strength. We believe that we have the mechanics. So if I'm going to be fighting against certain teams that I feel is generally weaker than me, I'm going to go for it.
I'll tell you exactly who's going to go for it, right? Toda. I mean, they were just overjoyed that, oh, so many feed so early in this round. And, you know, they've just been hitting so hard throughout the competition so far. I don't think they would have wanted to drop out. But the one team that I did not expect to see at Mars Electric early on, taking on these early engagements, was Bloody Head. Although they are quite a mechanically, you know, supreme team out there in the battlefield, as far as the Philippines is concerned, jumping into the MCP Major Season 3, it's not going to be as easy, right? There's a reason why we've got 15 of the teams from the competition just from Malaysia. The Philippines, they've been hurting. They don't have that many teams out there on the battlefield. But in terms of quality out of those individual squads, they most definitely can deliver, albeit 3 of those teams definitely struggling. And who are they? We've got Ego Oblivions, VJ Esports, as well as AKO Ligers. Very surprising out of this 3 is VJ Esports as well as AKO Ligers, Abstract. I mean, they haven't really been able to get much out of the first 3 days.
I actually had a very different kind of rankings, or rather power rankings. I would love to talk about it. I would definitely love to talk about it and let you guys know about it. But I think for now, I just want to tell you guys a little bit more about newer teams and teams that technically is the underdog slash dark horse here. So let me just say it out and see if you guys have any comments about these teams so far, especially since we have already done and dusted with week number 1. Now, the first team that is relatively new and, of course, with no previous appearances in my books is going to be Script Shots from Malaysia in in Group A,
Mhm.
I have Ego Oblivions from Philippines in Group C, WTG Expert that is from Group B, and from Malaysia. So they are technically the ones that are relatively new, and so is Overdose Esports. And thus, I do want to hear it out coming in from Danley. Do you have anything to say about these four teams that I've noted out so far?
I think considering that these new teams, for some of them, I wasn't quite sure, to be completely honest, but I've been very impressed with Overdose. Overdose have been a very competitive team thus far. They've actually really been able to stand against some of these top dogs during week one. So I'm kind of excited for Overdose. I think, oh man, who script shots? I see script shots
Mhm.
every now and again. They tend to have these. The team's a little bit hot and cold. That's one of the main issues so far. But if they can fix the performance, as AJ likes to say, consistency, we could be looking at a pretty good team.
But guys, I have to say, right, it is just a tad bit too early to, I guess, throw those cheap shots at script shots because, right above them stands AKO Ligers as well as Raytay Esports, right? I mean, both of these teams, we know they can go the distance, but they themselves are struggling in the competition so far. Week number one, mainly, as we were discussing last week, is where all of these teams dip their feet in, try to get a gauge of each other, perhaps even find out all of those early drop zones. But of course, as I say that, clearly two teams did not really get the memo that Mars Electric doesn't belong to them in Bermuda.
Hang on, okay. I know we've been fangirling over this Mars Electric three team free for all in that previous round. Unfortunately, because we have a remake, I don't think they're going to have the same flight path. So the chances of us being able to get that three-way free for all, I'm sorry, I don't think it's happening unless the flight path actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? Because some of these teams, they want to focus in on exactly where they're super comfortable at. They don't really want to change the drop support all that too much, unless, like you said, Danley, the flight path really takes them way too far away from that, and they have to, double down and pick their second option in here. But if it is the same, I'm really curious to see exactly who goes in there for the full commit, because like Abstract brought up earlier on, it's the mind games right now that's working in here.
Actually, Abstract, I kind of want to tap into your brain here a little bit because you've been living in EU, not like actually living there, but you've been living and breathing the Free Fire over there. I want to ask you, are there currently any trends that you're seeing over there that Southeast Asian players have picked up?
I think that it is when it comes down to EU and Southeast Asia, there is not a lot of massive differences. However, there is one game play style that the EU teams does technically worship, and of course, it's kind of like gospel to them, is that utility is king. As such, frag grenades, they are undoubtedly the strongest utility or perhaps even weapon in the game. And every single team out there, they would have, or rather, every single, kind of high skill tier team, or really league of their own, they will have a very good understanding as to who is going to be the one that casually lobs grenade from behind and just don't care about anything and just like again kind of thing. It's like over and over again. They are just standing behind glue walls and just do whatever they can. Because let's be honest, grenades is such a great utility, and you can use them in any occasion. Enemies in front of you, chuck a grenade. There's a opponent behind the glue wall, chuck a grenade. If there's someone in the house, chuck a grenade. No problem. Just chuck a grenade, and you can deal with all the problems.
I'm waiting for the way that Abstract says chuck a grenade to be the sound effect for actually chucking a grenade. I think that would be hilarious. But speaking of though, right, because so as you're saying, right, so utilities are so important over in EU, does that also impact the way that they focus on their economy, right? Like looting. How important is looting for EU? And are you seeing any differences between them and the looting in Southeast Asia? Because clearly, with them putting that much emphasis onto utilities, that has to influence the way that they play as well.
Well, let me surprise you here a little bit. There is actually not a lot of difference when it comes down to looting. In the end, it doesn't really matter if whether a team always plays outside the circle to go for looting, or it doesn't also matter if a team just goes straight in for the action and just fight and fight and fight. Because in the end, somehow they will always have a good amount of grenades onto themselves, and that is one thing that I find really surprising. And I believe that I can dive into more details about that if we take a look at this game and see if whether our MCP people will have the same thing. In the meantime, let's take a look at the flight path. There's just going to be starting off roughly about 4 o'clock, ending off at 7 o'clock, kind of through the center as well. In the meantime, we're going to be looking at AKO as well as Eastern Wolves Gang. Just going to be right in front of one another. Unfortunately, only one of them next to one another, and that is going to be Dyrem. That's going to be taken down by Manchai. Well, I'm not too sure exactly what he's gonna do, because at this point in time, he already have massive amount of value to his name. One person that have single-handedly brought 2 other members down. And do note, he is still all alone here in Cape Town. In fact, I'm really surprised that Phaeton as well as Toby, they're still out here hunting for him, but not going into the revival point, which is apparently really free for them to do so right at this moment in time. While Phaeton, I think he's making it, is going there right now. While Manchai at the top of the building, I believe that he would definitely want to land a couple of shots on Toby, but unfortunately, not being able to do so. Right now, Shanks being all alone, a little bit too far away from his fellow friends, but luckily, Todak just happened to give him one little angle of escape, helping him get into somewhere a little bit further away from, or rather closer to his fellow friends. And with that all said and done, Shanks is just going to be finding himself knocked down while there is going to be a 1-for-1 trade at this moment in time. A fix immediately popped the time turner while reviving his fellow friend. Now Ames unable to aim at this point in time. Unfortunately, it is going to be, I believe, 3 versus 3. Todak with their back against the wall. They don't really have much to do because of the fact that bloody head, they are in such a good position for an inline flank against the frontal part of Todak. And such, Todak currently 2-person left, while Bloody Heads, they're pretty happy with their valuable trade. Honestly, I'm gonna be really honest here. Looking at Todak's way of playing at this point in time, kind of, helped me understand a bit more about Todak, and of course, helped me to, be more certain about Todak's power rankings. Because when I saw how much points that they have gotten after week 1, I thought, hey, Todak actually seems pretty strong, and I am completely baffled away. Because in my opinion, when it comes down to Todak, they are literally a team that is, basically baby Argon MY. Oh! Immediately! Oh, well, it is one free point to you, I guess? Well, in the end, EWG, they still had the valuable trade. They got 2 points, aka only 1, and somehow Jaboiwa is still, well, not in the game just yet. You will be knocked out. You will die. If anything were to go wrong at the very least, one thing that I am relatively surprised is the very fact that a lot of these teams is actually still likely to play in the extremities of the circle, not exactly into the center of the circle, as you can pretty much see. Hard to Get is the team that is in the center, and the next circle is going to be popping right out for us to watch and learn. Hard to Get, understandably, is in one of the best positions that they can ever had at the top of the tower, and of course, very close to the center. But this is also a double-edged sword, because all the other teams will be able to see where they are, and thus, it really depends if whether they are the one that will open fire first, and if whether they are loud enough. Because if they are too loud, every single team would probably and understandably put their eyes on them. That is why it is very important for you to have some sort of grenades in order to blast people into the mood. Storm Grenade popping right in between of Keon and Rose. I do see that Rose as well as Keon, they are really very interested in chucking all of these Storm Grenades. But unfortunately, Keon, I don't think he's going to be able to run too far with that fiery Lamborghini that he has gone. So it's just going to be immediately dropping off this blue wall, allowing him to run a little bit further. In the meantime, you can see the kill feed, Manchai taken down again. So 2 kills for him and 2 deaths for him. You know, at this point in time, pretty equal in value, as the rest of the members coming from UMB is just going to be rushing right into the face of Eastern Wolves gang. None of those shots are really doing much at this point in time. While we are looking at Orange Esports being eliminated by Todak, I'm pretty sure they're listening to the commentaries and they're listening to the show. And they're just like, Abstract, you think that we are weak? No, take this, Orange. And that is definitely not what I was expecting coming in so early into the game. Orange Esports, previously known as 4X-Men, has been eliminated at 12th place. And while we are looking at all the rest of the 11 teams remain still in the circle, we have the circle that's just going to be popping at the top, at the northeastern side. All of these teams are forced to rush right in. As you can pretty much see, auto knockout, they're literally going to be fighting in the faces of Umbrella Reborn. They're all going to be stuck in one corner, leaving auto knockout Toby. Doesn't really have a lot of HP left. It's literally just a sliver. He have to suffocate him with the rest of his team, allowing Umbrella Reborn to get 3 kills to their name. And Toby, all alone, nowhere to go. You gotta have to play safe. Well, now we are looking at the game that is, well, seemingly going to close to the mid/later part of the game. As now it is the third circle that is going to be moving in, and a total of 11 minutes 40 seconds have elapsed. We are constantly seeing Eastern Wolves Gang in the kill feed time and time again. And may I say that I am very surprised that they are very proactive. With a total of 2 kills to their name, make that 3. And of course, make that 4 to their name, as 2 of them has been knocked onto the ground for Maunito to rear-end them and make sure that they will be gone for good. It is now a tough game to play. With a 9 team left in this game. Oh, that grenade didn't really quite do very well for Spark, unfortunately. He's just going to be riding up to the ridge. He was hoping that he'll be able to get a little bit closer to Mio, but unfortunately, even with the time turner, wasn't able to do quite much because Mio, with the charge buster, literally busted him right out of this game. Icon still stands on top of the hill like a king, looking down on them fair peasants, and Geek Fam is the one in the cool shades, hoping to, well, dethrone them, as they are hopefully making them less iconic for this game. Oh! Harry! This pressure cooker scenario is definitely something that is very hard for all of these teams to play. At this point in time, I wouldn't even be able to tell you exactly who will win, but whoever is at this Great Wall of China is definitely gonna have a really good position, because of the fact that they are literally at the top and they only have to deal with the front or the back, and none of these teams will be able to make their way up or down at this point in time. While Geek Fam, they are all in their own world, dealing with Icon at the top of the ridge. We'll take a look at Icon going down at 6th place. WTG Experts going down in 5th place. And now we're left with 4 team. DVD down on the bottom of this bridge looking thing. Actually, I'm surprised that there's even actually a small little crevice in between. Hard to get We've got Slick Shots as well as Geek Fam. Who's going to be the one to come up on top? It kind of seems like Geek Fam, they are in the most superior positioning, close to the next circle.
Yeah, script shots just a little too close to the place of hard to get. Oh, Rose pulling out yet another glue wall, but that one just ends up a little awkwardly exposing his feet. Smart play by Rose as he pulls one more out. Jay-Z down onto the ground. Aries now with the backup as well. The Max 7's not going to be able to do much. Geek Fam, 2 players down on the ground already as they try to scramble for whatever that's left in here. Script shots right in front of them. It is just all-out chaos as Exact won't be able to knock down Insane. Take the kill onto Parents as well.
Exact, he's got a massive amount of kills to his name at this point in time. And now John Blue as well as Shahid, they would want to creep themselves right next to Geek Fam. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be that easy to make at all. We do have got to beat, making sure that he will be able to move a little bit faster right behind of Fikri. And he brought Fikri down. Hard to get is also going to be taken down. Was Shahid, last member remaining, and he wants to deal with Geek Fam. It's not going to be easy, my friend. Or maybe it will be. He bring one person down, leaving Exact all alone. The monsters, the Geek Fam, they found themselves down at 3rd place.
Ah, the double barrel shotgun getting its job done. Overdose, on the other hand, moving in here for the final finisher. Shahid cooking up that nade. If he gets one, it will give him the advantage. Dadat steps on in front. Double barrel shotgun will be able to knock down Dadat, but the timing is just not there for him to heal himself up. Pulls up a double glue wall. Still surviving. Down now on the ground. One more. Double barrel. Can he get it? But no. Overdose spin finishes off the job, and they pick up their booyah.
The odds are in the favor of the team that I definitely did not expect. Overdose Esports with that amazing booyah. All they gotta do is hide at the bottom of the bridge, the small little crevice that allowed them to evade all of that nonsensical action by Slick Shots as well as hard to get. They waited for the perfect opportunity. There has so many things that's going around. While Slick Shot is busy with Geek Fam and vice versa, Overdose, they're just hanging around, waiting for the perfect opportunity, and thus giving them their booyah in this game.
Yeah, it was a real good play at the very end, taking down 2 of the players from Overdose. It was a 3v1 situation. I mean, it was a good play by the guy, but unfortunately, the numbers just caught up towards the very end. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be seeing Overdose here as the winners of the booyah. But it was those early engagements that were the most entertaining between AKO as well as the Eastern Wolves gang. And this is the part where the EWG squad just let AKO to their deaths in the hands of Umbrella Reborn.
Honestly, there's just so many things going on about this game. In fact, now I'm drawing a couple of references and the massive difference between Southeast Asia as well as Europe. We don't see a lot of third party going on in this game, at least. It's a lot of duels and they're just brawling against one another because of positioning. You're only taking fights because you need to get from point A to point B. They're not exactly making an additional step into point C because they hear something across the horizon and they want to pick a fight with that certain someone. I'm not too sure if whether that is what you think, what you would agree about, AJ. But how about Denley? Let's invite Denley back on the panel and hear out for what she's got to say about this game.
I do have a couple things that I would like to mention. Firstly, that final circle was brilliant. It was just such good setup for Overdose. I'm just curious, did the other teams know that Overdose was sitting under the bridge? Because it wasn't very clear, right? Like, everyone's brawling up the top. You would assume everyone is on top of the bridge. Did anybody know that Overdose was down there? I don't think they did, right?
That could be a possibility that a couple of teams might have known. And I would say that Geek Fam might know, but that could be a possibility because of the ridge. They can't really see well. Slick Shots definitely could see them, but I think that they decide to go on Geek Fam instead. Although I don't really know that very well because I'm not exactly in their point of view.
Yeah, fair enough. But I find it pretty interesting that the teams that you were talking about earlier, Abstract, the newer teams, they really outdid themselves this round, right? We saw Overdose, we saw Script Shots. AJ, I want to hear your thoughts because I know Abstract has been sharing a lot of his opinions on these teams, but I want to hear a little bit more from you, especially during that last engagement. What do you feel like was the ultimate build-up to that final circle? Was it just the bridge that basically was the saving grace for Overdose?
I'm just surprised that Icon wasn't actually able to go any further after they took a great momentous, victory over Toda. They backed away from the engagement against GeekFam, which I feel like they could have just continued keeping the pressure on. But I feel like, them not wanting to waste the utilities as well as some of their lethals in there made them drop back from that fight, right? But, overall, they still, I guess, managed to get a good spot for themselves. 6, I guess. It's okay.
It's not bad. It's not too bad. But overall for the standings though, even though GeekFam were eliminated in 3rd place, they're actually able to shoot to first or at least tie with script shots. Interesting though, Overdose, even though they got the booyah, they weren't able to make it to top 2 because they were missing out on the kills. So we're starting to already see the importance of these kills, right? Yes, you get the booyah, yes, you're getting a significant amount of points, but ultimately those kills can be a real factor for determining top 3. So there's not a loss for Overdose. I think the team is happy to get points, but I think for GeekFam, and especially script shots, I think this team in particular really appreciate those 19 points. Now, unfortunately, at the bottom end of the bracket, Orange Esports end with 0, which, especially for this team, that's devastating.
Yeah. One thing that I'm just looking through the entirety of that, bracket, or rather that scoreboard. I just really have the biggest question about Orange Esports. We didn't get to see Orange. We didn't really see much, but dropped at 12. I'm surprised.
Exec nailing 7 kills overall with the Groza, guys. I mean, if you want to pick up a gun within Free Fire, it's got to be that, right? The guy absolutely
stole 3.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're also talking about Exec, right? Like, this guy is really good at close quarter combat. So, unless your name is Exec, maybe you might not be able to pull off those numbers. But if there's anyone that's going to be able to show off that gun, I think it's definitely Exec. But gentlemen, we've just finished up our first game of the day. Our first map, it's Bermuda. I know we were expecting a lot of brawls, a lot of action, but it looks like we're going to have to slow things down a little bit now because we are shifting over to Kalahari, which is a whole other map of its own. The playstyle required to master that map is vastly different. I'm going to ask here, okay, are we going to see the usage of vehicles? Because something I noticed, especially when we're playing an MCP, in particular MCP, teams that participate in every season of MCP are not too fond of vehicle usage. Whereas Abstract, I remember you were complaining about a certain revving, particular vehicle, the revs in Europe. But do people in the European region utilize vehicles a lot, right? Because one of the disadvantages is that it's loud, it gives away your position, but the advantage is that you're able to cover a lot of ground quickly.
So, when it comes down to the vehicles, I think this is going to surprise you, is the fact that when it comes down to vehicles, you get blasted in your ears, especially as us commentators, because you expected it the least. Because for the European teams, they actually don't use vehicle at all as well.
Interesting. Okay.
In fact, when I was doing the EMEA Invitational, we learned something about a Misha meta. And there's a possibility that there's this thing called the Misha meta. And I was like, what's a Misha meta? Apparently, it's all about driving, and it's all about the fact that you have a character called Misha. As long as you're in a vehicle, you are less susceptible to be killed in the vehicle. The vehicle's hit points are higher, and thus that grew up to have a Misha meta. And apparently, it stemmed from Southeast Asia.
Wow.
And at that point in time, I didn't really do MCP, or maybe I did a little bit. So I was like relatively surprised. I was like, this is interesting.
We'll have to see if we're going to be seeing any Misha meta on this map, because Kalahari is a rather big one. But of course, game 2 is ready. Let's launch ourselves onto this map. We're going to have Abstract and of course the wonderful AJ as our casters for this game. Take it away, gentlemen. Bon appetit.
Once again, I will always say this before the start of the game, and that is, may the odds be ever in your favor for this match. Number 2 between Group A and Group B. And understandably, after looking at Group A and Group B, I would say that there's a lot of there's a very high chance that Group A, understandably, will walk away with a couple of these games. But it doesn't mean that Group B is undoubtedly, it doesn't mean that Group B is weak or any case. I mean, look at it. We have Kick Fam, we have Auto Knockout, we have Overdose that won in the previous game. But I digress. Let's take a look at match number 2 with the flight path starting off slightly at 1 o'clock, ending off slightly at towards 5 o'clock. A little bit more towards the eastern side, and thus we should be expecting a little bit of a heavier traffic towards the eastern part of Kalahari. Sorry, I'm hungry. Calamari it is. And not a lot of teams is on the western side. We should be expecting human traffic as well as more of the choke points at the eastern part of the refinery in the later stages of the game.
And, who would have thought, right? The smallest map has got 0 engagements from the drop earlier on, whereas Bermuda was just absolutely lit with all of those firepower earlier on, with so many of those teams trying to share a drop spot, even in week 2, and that's something that you don't really expect to see, Abstract.
Well, week 2, I believe at least today is like day number 1, and also we're looking at game number 1. We should technically be expecting some of these teams to still be, testing the waters and see whether the water's hot or if it's cold and all those kind of stuff. Fancy schmancy stuff. Perhaps it was their coach's, I suppose, instructions to play a little bit more safe. Because none of these teams are essentially going in for third parties. They're just playing for themselves. So I would love to see some of that vouchering happening, but it really gonna happen on the team, or rather it will be started by a team who is very confident, and the teams that I'm looking out for right now is mostly onto Geek Fam. I will believe that they are the team that will play very aggressively.
I'm guessing the EU side has got the kill feed turned off as well. Is that correct, Abstract?
Actually, the question is, I actually don't know.
Okay.
After all these days, I have no idea whether the kill feed is on or off.
Yeah, not a worry, man. Because, in MCP Major Season 3, right, all of these teams, okay, not all of these teams, most of the teams are constantly second-guessing themselves. They don't really know exactly who they're going to stumble upon. And those third parties are just so difficult to get because you are technically just walking in there blind. But from what I can see here, just on towards your north, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Icon and Eastern Wolves Gang about to get into a skirmish with each other. And as usual, Geek Fam's not going to be disturbed at all as they pick their favorite drop spot in here, and early on loots as they go on looking for more guns and more utilities one after the other. They are most definitely gonna be very happy because their area is just full on clear.
Well, I do want to see more of more of the team's movements, because understandably, today is my first day in MCP Season 3, and it is still relatively early, but I would want to draw some conclusions about how certain teams play, what kind of dynamics that do they have, any kind of tempo they usually walk in, do they usually move in, and understandably, it kind of seems as though a couple of these teams may have some sort of a buddy system, or some of them is more of like a scouting system. Just now, I believe that I saw one of the team, I believe that it was Auto Knockout. Yeah, kind of on a buddy system, while Hard to Get, they're more of a scouting system, right? So Auto Knockout 2 is, 2 of them will be looting together in close proximity, while Hard to Get, they're just scrambled. They just go to wherever they want, as long as they are technically in the same, I don't know, same place whereby they can still see one another, I suppose.
Yeah. To a certain degree, they do play that buddy, but then now just breaking formation a little bit insane with those shots against the boy. While down on the ground, Toby will be able to heal his mate up real quick, but that is not going to be enough. He needs a little bit of extra backup in here, but Hard to Get, they are backing away from this engagement.
Hard to Get, well, they don't want to deal with the teams. They don't want to deal with the fights, which I'm relatively surprised. One found himself knocked down to the ground by the hands of Bloody Heads. This time, it's no longer Bloody Heads. It's Bloody Heads and hands, as they have soiled their hands with the blood of Icon. The rest of the players are now getting themselves out of the vicinity. Flame, Meals, and Man, they make sure that they run as fast as they can. As you can see, Flame is just doing whatever he can. Just run as far as he can. While Morgana is not giving up chase. He still wants to chuck a couple of grenades across the horizons and still hopes that he'll be able to get some free kills.
Yeah, Man now just needs to be a little patient here. He should be able to catch Shanks off guard. Morgana, on the other hand, with the long flank over, just looking for extra kills. I'm just not really comfortable with the way Bloody Heads are playing this now, Man. He has got the shot up against Morgana here. Morgana has got the ability to engage only close range, so he... Oh no, he does have the farmers on him, so he should be able to shoot quite far now. And the question is he going to be able to get the accuracy on the shots? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I heard burst guns. I absolutely hate them. Shadow now getting knocked down to the ground. It's Geek Fam going in for the attack. Orange will be able to strike first. Blue wall right in front. Insane picks his buddy right back up and prepares for this ambush that Geek Fam is setting for them.
Not a good play, or rather, not a very good game that Hunter Cat should be taking. They should definitely get themselves right out of there, because if they were to try to, kind of come in and, show their faces to the faces of AKO or perhaps even Geek Fam, they would very likely be sandwiched right out of this world. And in fact, they are. Peyton, as well as his fellow teammate here, they are still within the vicinity, and they definitely want to pick a fight with their enemies because they would want to hold the fort down. Peyton, unfortunately, wasn't able to do quite much as he's going to be knocked out by Oren. Fikri just going to be continuing down onto Toby. Two of the members from AKO has been knocked out, while Mano4 is now back into the game after being knocked down. Fikri found another one, and that is going to be Dyron. Immediately went straight out and wants to close up the gap and make sure that he secured the kill onto Dyron. And Jaboywa understood exactly what he needed to do, and that is to be as safe as possible. Unfortunately, there is just nowhere to run. First person of, or rather, first team to be knocked out. Auto knockout.
It's a very interesting approach that AKO takes in this matchup. The buddy system is absolutely useless in that scenario as they get ambushed by the players of Geek Fam, who pretty much just stumbled upon them, got one lucky 2v1, and Orin as usual getting that early engagement knockdown. And what else can we expect out of the players of Geek Fam, right? This is their week to shine. Last week, they focused a lot on those skills, not really for the placements, and I'm anticipating for that to be the change that they bring in here to week number 2. Overdose have got a great point for themselves. The elevation on that ground should be able to give them the bird's eye view upon everybody else, and the players of Heart to get Jay-Z backing away from this danger zone. Nobody else is there to disturb them just yet, as the players of Orange Esports just run through the left-hand side of script shots. No one's engaging with them just yet. I mean, a lot of these teams just trying to play as safe as possible as this zone just gets closer and closer.
It is now coming into the time where most of these teams are understandably going to be meeting against one another, because they are completed, or rather they have completed their first and of course their second loot around areas, and now they know that some of these areas are now currently looted already, and though there's nowhere else to go and such, some teams would prefer to be on the move, while some teams would prefer to turtle up, bunker down, find a good place, and hope that the circle lands on top of them. In this case, Orange Esports is the one that will be moving while we're looking at WTG Expert.
Rybel just jumping straight up onto the roof. Double vectors will take out Pyrene. That was just an unfortunate situation. The guy just did not expect that at all. That's exactly why you need the grappling hook every single time you drop into Kalahari.
The grappling hook is literally a life-changing experience. And now, WTG Expert, they are literally at the mercy of Orange Esports. Now, they are claiming themselves back into the game, being the kill leaders. And they would want to snowball this game as much as they can. And understandably, when it comes down to the game of Free Fire, if you start off the game on a great start, and you know that you have the mechanics and you have that power to tide through everything, you literally will be able to tide through everything. And if Orange Esports makes good moves, good rotations, they could very potentially end this game with more than 15 kills to the name.
Let's see, as that one sole player runs away, can he bring the rest of them right back into the game? It is most definitely the question on all of our minds. Eastern Wolfgang still playing the buddy system. Icon, on the other hand, with one player revived in here already. They have to make it a little bit of a quicker move in towards a better zone for themselves. as they try to scurry along. The players of Overdose, they will be able to gatekeep them. Remember the elevation that we talked about earlier on? That's exactly what one has spotted, and he knows that the team is going to be in trouble. Toda will find the players of Eastern Wolfsgang right in front of them. Spark goes in for the engagement and then disengages to reposition himself. It is just all of those teaser shots coming out of Toda for the time being. They don't want to go in there for the ambush just yet unless they know they have got the advantage on their grounds, and it just is an impossible thing to secure right now.
Overdose, the previous Booyah winner, is now gonna be at the southern side of the new circle. They can definitely make their way in slowly and surely if they would want to play things a little bit more on the extremities of the circle. But unfortunately, I think that they do not know about the fact that Icon is literally right under their nose. As okay, never mind, take it back. Okay, never mind. That is not Overdose at all. It is gonna be Bloody Heads, and such Bloody Heads have found their opponents, literally sweeping that rats under the rug. And we have, of course, the Charge Buster coming in. 1-for-1 trade all across the map. That is script shots that will be eliminated at 11th place.
Yeah, good play by John Blow, but it's just not enough. Pin gets knocked down. Dunk trying to take those shots, spots one player right in front of him, and the players of Icon, they will be able to survive. Yes, we do have Bloody Heads just scurrying across as well. Let's see exactly who survives this one. Icon meets the players of Umbrella Reborn, and they do not stand much of a chance there, as Bloody Heads chips in a couple of those shots as well. Now Umbrella Reborn going up against Overdose. Umbrella just being pressured by the safe zone, and the safe zone, as it pushes them on in, it's not something that they cannot manage. They do have a vehicle on their hands. Rival gets knocked down onto the ground. Here comes the players of Do Easy. Jebat flying through the air. Man04 finds a shot for himself as well. There's engagements all throughout the map. Abstract.
Well, this is the kind of pressure cooker that we're talking about. Every now and then, of course, when it comes down to Bayfront, we are just going to be expecting a lot of teams that just want to put themselves at home, quite literally. But that is also going to mean that they are going to be looking at a lot of teams that's just going to be right onto the next door or neighbor kind of thing. So this is a very toxic neighbor situation that we are seeing here in the land of Kalahari. And unfortunately, everyone gotta have to survive, and they gotta do whatever they can to survive. Right now, the circle lands right on top of Monito, coming in from the side of Eastern Wolfsgang. They are definitely gonna be pretty darn happy with the fact that they are here. Todak, not in a good spot. If they would want to move, they gotta have to move soon. While the fact that Eastern Wolfsgang, they are a little bit too preoccupied with Geek Fam. You can hear all the sounds. So make your move when you realize that the opponents that you are most worried about is distracted.
Bloody Heads setting up a trip mine. They know that the players of Hard to Get are going to come in here for an ambush any moment now. Alongside Eastern Wolfsgang, who already have a compound of their own. They take the fight up against Geek Fam. Exec using the grappling hook, getting up onto the roof. Bird's eye view now finishes off Jay-Z. Monito right in front of him. And the players of Geek Fam very quickly and very easily take over the situation as the aggressors. Now Tua right below them. Man04 trying to reposition himself. Will find the corner. Tua goes out for the spray. Time Turner in action as well. But Fakery with a Charge Buster knocks him down onto the ground. And anybody that steps up in front of Geek Fam right now are going to be in trouble. Eastern Wolfsgang still in front of them as Bloody Heads finally takes the fight up against Hard to Get. The trip mine still hasn't jumped into action just yet. But Mark, look at him. He has got the M79, the grenade launcher in hand.
Grenade launcher. This is where things are starting to get more fun and, of course, scary. In the meantime, we're just going to be looking at the other point of the map. We're going to be looking at Todak fighting against Umbrella Reborn. Who's going to be the one to come up on top of this game, as Pydro was hoping that he will be able to slip through between the crevices. But unfortunately, one thing that did not see is that he got blindsided with a shotgun. Found himself dead onto the ground. Sparks, he knew that he's literally fighting war on two fronts. So he lobbed a grenade in the face of the enemies while he's trying to vault right out. Spark, he definitely got an idea as to how he wants to tackle this fight. iPans as well as Kaz, they're literally stuck inside of this small little house. There's nowhere else they gotta go. They're stuck inside of here. So if they want to do anything, they gotta have to do it now before the circle eventually forces them out.
Ames gets picked up, and now Umbrella Reborn, they are outnumbered 3v2 situation. And the last thing that you want is the winners of the Free Fire Challenges Malaysia knocking on your door. Kaz as well as iPens. iPens has got the Charge Buster in hand. Fikri down onto the ground as we hop on over to yet another engagement. Monito taken out by Oren. And this is Geek Fam going up against the Eastern Wolves gang. And it looks like the Eastern Wolves gang are no contest for them whatsoever. Thoda still in the engagement against the players of Umbrella Reborn as Geek Fam now heals themselves up. 10 kills in the bag already, and they're gearing up for a booyah. Exact spots Spark from afar. Can he get the headshot? The answer is no. Ducks away behind his own glue wall. Ames on the other hand once again on the ground. Arpix really low on HP. Geek Fam really going hard against the players of Thoda, but not really being punished by anybody else.
Oh no, Geek Fam, they're not in a very good position at all. They are actually going a little bit too premature in making their way into the next part of the circle. Now, a lot of teams is going to have their eyes on top of them, but it really depends on all the other teams' movements as well. Who is going to where? And that is the main question. We got Hard to Get that's going to be right opposite of Geek Fam. And if Geek Fam continues this fight here, while Overdose goes over to Hard to Get, you pretty much knows what exactly is going to happen. It really relies onto all the other teams. Wow, Geek Fam, they're just chucking grenades. Like I say, chuck a grenade and get Hard to Get. Find themselves knocked out by Geek Fam. And here is what I mean. Frag grenades are literally the strongest thing ever.
Orin, my man, what a call from the guy. Spots out the players of Hard to Get inside of that compound, healing, picking each other up. And all he thinks of doing is just tossing in grenade after grenade. Yes, the time turner was up, but the guy had the time turner's countdown in his head as he tossed each and every single one of them. Fikri now with the backstab, Charge Buster. Can he charge it up quick enough? Yes, he does. iPad's in front, but look at the time turner being pulled out. Fikri stepping right on. And Geek Fam eliminates Umbrella Reborn. And now, one more team in front of them. Players of Overdose spin really low on that HP. Achap now on the same situation as well. Mano4 as well as Fikri, they take the second floor of this building whilst Oren backs away from the compound. Behind a glue wall. Can he take down Achap? Great glue wall pulled down by Achap, but Oren manages to secure that knock for himself. Pinned down onto the ground as well. Done the final one. Geek Fam, the winners of the MCP Major Season 1, strikes back hard on day 1 in week 2.
Geek Fam with the booyah as the odds are now in their favor. Definitely really happy with a total of 19 kills to their name. I was hoping that Orange Esports will be the one to get more than 15 kills because of their amazing starting performance, but unfortunately completely slipped up, and Geek Fam will end up being the one that takes more than 15 kills to their name. Congratulations, Geek Fam. This is going to be such a significant leap to the rankings, and I believe that they are definitely going to be flying up a little bit higher than normal.
Oh yeah, I mean, this was anticipated from week 1 as they focus all of their points towards the kills, aggressing against all of their opponents. And in week 2, it is a no-brainer that they want to focus in on their placements. They want to focus on grabbing as many booyahs as possible. And as they opened this game up, it was just their time, right? Because earlier on, Overdose, I won't say stole it away from them, but they managed to grab the booyah. But beating all of that, Geek Fam still managed to find the first place. Technically, this is 2 games back-to-back now. Geek Fam sits down in that number 1 spot, Abstract.
Well, when it comes down to the overall, that is what I want to look out for. However, we'll only look at it later in the broadcast, and that is also gonna be something that, you know, pushes some kind of suspense to everyone. Because Overdose, they did manage to win game number 1. However, Geek Fam winning game number 2 in such a commanding fashion. Yes, Oren. Just, you know, he's literally living by my words. Chuck a grenade!
Indeed, Abstract. Indeed. I mean, it was the positioning of each and every single one of those chuck a grenade that was just absolutely epic, right? And at the very end, you can see almost all of those players, Fikri as well as Man04, and I believe Oren as well. 3 charge busters. The players of Geek Fam, you know they are serious when that happens, right? They want to get those close quarters combat, final circle. It's all going to get messy. But if you have got the mechanical capability to control the charge buster, you are going to be in the driver's seat. Now, second game, Geek Fam picks up the booyah, gets a massive number of kills for themselves as well. But before we continue breaking this on, let's welcome back our beautiful host, Danley.
I think they ended that round with 17 kills? 18?
19.
19. I think if they bomb out their next 2 games, they're totally fine. I think they've just...
This reminds me of the good old days in season 1. If they were to be absent for 2 days, they're still at the top of the leaderboard kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is good news for people that are cheering for Geek Fam though, right? Because they did lose their first placing last week, and they're currently competing with Blacklist, who haven't played yet. But with just these 2 games alone, I think they're either very close to getting that first place back, or they're already on top. And they've still got 2 more games to go. So it's a really good day for Geek Fam, but it's just day 1 of week 2. Things can change. We've got 2 more days after this, but I think this was a very interesting round so far, because if there's another team I want to talk about, it's Overdose. It's Overdose's day. I didn't think they would play this good today. I was thinking, okay, last round maybe it was a bit of a fluke because they had the bridge, but this team is really starting to step it up. But here we go, 19 kills, 12 points for the Booyah. Geek Fam with 31 points. I do believe this is the highest total round we've had.
Yes, ma'am. It is correct.
Wow. This is the Geek Fam we all missed and loved last week.
It won't be it. I believe that we will have a point in time where the record will be broken over and over and over again. I'm calling it. Within week 2, we should be looking at another 21 kills. Maybe, perhaps. No, I'm hoping. But looking at the standings right now, I'm very surprised how top heavy this is.
Yes.
Orange Esports did break that top heavy lineup a little bit with a total of 6 kills to their name. So, you know, I'm still really happy at the fact that Geek Fam literally floored everyone and just went on with their snowball.
Well, let's take a look at the overall standings to see what these points are going to do for the charts. Have we got a new leader? And it looks like we have by 2 points. Geek Fam have been able to reclaim their first placement on the overall leaderboard over Blacklist International. Now, be mindful, folks, okay? Geek Fam have played 2 games already. Blacklist haven't played anything, but they are playing it next. And I think these next 2 rounds, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what kind of changes we're going to look at, right? Because Geek Fam being part of Group B, what kind of influence does Group C have over this team? And we saw last week that Group C was a really tough round for Geek Fam.
I'm not surprised. Honestly, I'm really not surprised. Okay, so when it comes down to all of the groupings, A versus C, this is where everyone will have a very tough time. Because everyone in A and C, if they were to butt heads against one another, they're just insane. It's really tough for them to do anything. And I would say that they can't play as aggressively as they usually do.
Yeah. Now, very quickly, let's take a look at the player data for this round. And of course, we've got 3 Geek Fam players sitting in top 3. We've got Oren sitting in first place with 9 kills to his name with 3,200 damage. And that's just a lot for one player. But we've also got Fikri and Mano4. 5 kills to Fikri's name, 4 kills to Mano4, and both of them sitting on over 2,000 damage, with Fikri actually getting very close to 3,000 damage. And in 4th place, Jabat with 980 damage. Can you believe it? 4th highest with 3 kills, 980 damage. It's so top heavy, but you can't blame them. I know Geek Fam, they did hog all the kills that round. 19 is a lot for one team to have, but I think we're going to let the teams in Group A lick their wounds, also consider their opponents for the next round, or at least the final round, Group C. So we'll let them have a bit of a break. Geek Fam will continue their run, but this time against Group C. And I'm really curious to see what kind of shenanigans we're going to see, and also what changes does Group C sort of bring to the table against Group B, right? Because these groupings, you have different teams, different overall play styles, and I think something we always bring up in the past is the whole kryptonite factor, right? Some teams are just innately weak to others. from what we know, at least we know some of these teams have pretty stable rosters. Are there any teams in particular that you feel are just strong against another team's playstyle? I'm gonna start with Abstract.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think that I would be able to give an answer about that yet, considering the fact that we are still pretty early into the MCP Major Season 2. A lot of these teams does have a couple of roster swaps, and some of their players are relatively new as well. I would want to say that a lot of these teams, they have at least one person that is relatively new. But I can delve more into detail about that maybe later.
Maybe later after this quick announcement. So just a reminder to everyone that didn't get the memo earlier on, we do have a giveaway happening later today. It is going to be for 2 Lightning MP40 boxes. That's right, 2 free boxes, not just for you, but also your friends as well. Once we reveal the code will be revealed later on, so make sure you stick around for the broadcast. And once it does pop up, make sure to share it with everybody that you know so that they can also claim their free goodies. It's not first come, first serve. It is a code for everybody. This is a gift from Garina and us to you. Thank you all so much for supporting the stream and also sticking around and enjoying the broadcast with us, because I think the free fire is just a bonus. All right, AJ. I'm going to let AJ I want to let AJ have a little bit of the spotlight here, because I know Abstract, he did share his thoughts about the whole kryptonite factor, but AJ, I know that we have had a very long free fire journey together, right? We've had this whole kryptonite thing. Do you think that there's going to be any kind of kryptonite factor here, or is it maybe just going to be a whole Group B might be weak to Group C just because of general playstyle? So what's kind of happening here?
I mean, if you look back at the data, it just seems like Group B is, very much nerfed against Group C, right? And this is exactly where GeekFam, really struggles to find a lot of the kills. But I have to hyper-focus on them because this is the GeekFam week for me. This is the GeekFam day because of how, lackluster their performance was in week 1. We expect them to hit back, but this is the true test for the squad right now. As they take up the fight against Group C once again, can they start looking for those kills? Because if they can, then that automatically makes GeekFam the most dangerous team within the MCP Major Season 3 once again, Danny.
Actually, that is a pretty good point, right? If they're able to sort of dominate both groups, then it's like, it doesn't really matter who they're going up against. And there's also going to be another factor, right? Later on, these teams are going to go through a group shuffle. So if you have a team that doesn't care what groups they're going up against, then it's just going to be like, oh, we don't care what happens with these shuffles. But we'll let that go for now because we're going to jump into our next matchup in 8 seconds. We're going back onto Bermuda once again, but this time it's going to be Group B going up against Group C. Abstract, AJ, I know we're a little bit early for the plane, but Captain, take us away.
Well, going into Bermuda once again. And I am just excited to see what all of these teams have got in store for us. But once again, may the odds be ever in your favor. AJ, we're going into Bermuda. What do you feel about it? Well, it does seem like we have tactical intakes that are just going to be making their way over the bullseye, which understandably is going to be high loot area. With the flight path starting off at 7 o'clock, ending off at 12 o'clock, more towards westbound. A lot of these teams is going to be on the western side, and eastern side is going to be a little bit clear. So any of these teams, if they do want to play it safe, they would want to run to the eastern part as soon as possible, as fast as possible, and that is also one of the best places to loot and get yourself your utilities.
First blood. New kill leader.
Well, this is literally the testament of what Group C have got in store for us. Right as we jump into the game, two of these Group C teams are literally going to be fighting against one another. As Neptune ate a face full of buckshot, and that is just plainly unfortunate for him. And now we're gonna be left with two other members coming from the side of Axis. I'm very surprised that they launched their way all the way to find Cops and Vegeta and not even try to secure that kill. They are just gonna be leaving him there and will be hoping to kill these two members from Axis and let it be done and dusted. BB gun. Oh! Now that is a trade city coming in for the side of Verde. They are definitely really happy with what they have gotten. They have a total of 4 kills to the name while only 1 casualty, which can be revived in a while later. So they're not particularly too affected by the fact that one person is already dead. However, I do want to say that that was actually a pretty scrappy fight coming in from Verde Esports. They were very strong in their heads that they want to go for the two other members that was literally at the other side of the vicinity. But I believe that that was literally too bold of them to make it so high onto the ground. That was good verticality, no doubt. However, the backup was a little bit too slow. They literally go in one after another, and that was a very unnecessary, difficult fight.
Triple kill.
Do Easy is really happy with what they have gotten here, as they literally fought against Auto Knockout. For those people that has been watching Auto Knockout for the longest time ever, you guys know that Auto Knockout is no longer the same Auto Knockout that we have seen before in MCP Season 2, Season 1, Tri-Nations Cup, so on and so forth. This Auto Knockout is very, very different. As we are talking about them, they are the team that seeded in because of the Free Fire Challenger Series Philippines Season 1. The only returning players are, well, of course, gonna be Jaboy Washer, Seiya, and Dyron from the Free Fire Challengers of Philippines. So I don't really have a lot of information about Toby, but all in all, this team is very new, and the only game or rather competition that they've played together like that was the Free Fire Challengers of Philippines, which is the one that they qualified for. So I'm not too particularly surprised that they are, kind of out-leagued by some of these teams here, and to see them being having so much difficulty against Do Easy is not too big of a surprise, considering the fact that Do Easy is a very strong team that has quite a lot of different players from all over the place, such as Spade, which was from 4X-Men. Tuba and Jesbu, yes, they are relatively new. They don't really have much appearance, but I believe Pablo, which is from Expert X, that played in the Free Fire Southeast Asia Championships 2019, is a very old, seasoned player. So Do Easy, I actually have a lot of hopes for them. iPans now currently with only a sliver of health. Umbrella Reborn, they would definitely want to protect this revival point as much as they can. There is gonna be, of course, the grenade, or rather, we got a flash freeze. It's just gonna be popped right under the feet of Geek Fam. A couple of the members coming from Umbrella Reborn is actually disoriented. I'm very surprised. A lot of glue walls are set down, but it doesn't seem like they are doing a very good job when it comes down to actually taking a fight against Geek Fam. You can see some of them is kind of like trying to run away and not too sure what they really want to do, but looking at the perspective of Oren, he's just going to be running right in front of the face, or rather right onto the rear on one of the members. And speaking about Fikri, but looking at him all the way pretty far away. A lot of members coming from the Geek Fam is just not doing well at all, and thus Umbrella Reborn found themselves eliminated at 11th place, while Geek Fam, clearly not an easy fight with 3 of them knocked down but not out. Now we've got the light of the map. We are able to understand a little bit more about the map, so let us take a look at it. At the northern part of the new circle, we do have Do Easy, Blacklist International, as well as Vayday Esports. So unfortunately for Blacklist, this is actually a really horrible place to be at. As such, they are definitely gonna be sandwiched real soon if they continue to fight. And not to and to make matters worse, Blacklist International, they are also playing in more of a buddy system, if I may. 2 of them are relatively close to themselves, but far from the other 2 buddies here. Vayday Esports, all 4 of them are inside of the same house. It could go out to be very good or very bad. But in this case, kind of seems like it will be good, because Cobra, it doesn't even have a single grenade.
Triple kill.
Bloop. 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 Chuck a grenade. Chuck a grenade. Oh, chuck a grenade! Come on, chuck a grenade! It doesn't matter, they don't need a grenade! Zapnu and Phoenix found themselves the kill onto the rest of the players here from Vayday Esports. They were scrambling around, unable to find the correct move and what they needed to do. And in that case, cramming themselves inside of the house with all of these glue walls is just not the right thing to do, which is, well, very unfortunate. However, we're just going to be looking on the other side of the map with Geek Fam eliminated at 8th place. And just as Danley and AJ said, Geek Fam finds it difficult in the A and C bracket. And you can see very obviously that they do have a couple of difficulties. I don't really like the positioning just now. They overextended themselves in that fight. Previously, I believe that they fought against Umbrella Reborn. Not good at all, and thus putting themselves in such a bad position only to be knocked down at 8th place as they almost ended into the circle, or maybe just right around the extremities.
And the data will just continue to be strengthened as Blacklist International now wraps around Do Easy. Can they execute yet another squad in here? And the good flank comes through. Zapnu just behind them. Here comes Lux as well as Phoenix. And let's see if or not they can go in here for a shutdown because of the M79. Grenade launcher in hand. Bye-bye, Spade! Phoenix, what a great knockdown. Too bad for the save. Bye-bye to... Oh, too bad does not get taken out of the equation. Time turner on for the pop. And let's see if or not this 2v1 situation can break down. Phoenix with the spray. CQC. It does not allow his opponent to get away. And Blacklist International with yet another shutdown on a squad. Do Easy this time eliminated.
Excuse me, too easy. I just complimented you guys. I don't know what happened, but I suppose that this is a little bit more of an amateur mistake coming in from Too Bad. I did say that Too Bad was relatively new to the team, didn't really have a lot of previous appearances, but when they fought against Blacklist in the previous game, they just don't really know what to do. And Too Bad, he was hoping that he'll be able to use the third-person perspective to, you know, change his playstyle a little bit and just anticipate his opponents. But his opponents was a little bit too fast for him to do anything, especially since you know that the opponent does have a grenade launcher. Don't use third-party perspective to try to look for someone right by the door frame. That is just asking to be killed.
Overdose catching the numbers game here. Are they going to be able to shut down Ego Oblivions? Dada finds the back of Jacob. And yes, Pin manages to get the equalizer there as well. Let's see if Achap can continue to survive for the rest of the squad as a tactical index now drops by. But Icon's going to be distracting them. Overdose, they finish off one squad. They just moving on to yet another. Yes, Dada will be able to survive all thanks to Icon because tactical index now have their hands full. Shot the only one left. Let's see if or not he will be able to slice anything out of his side, and the answer is no as Dada gets the final kill onto Shot. Pin now onto the ground. Overdose as they try to reposition themselves. The next zone quite far away, but they're all in the clear. They only have to take Icon out of the equation.
Auto knockout. Literally, we have Toby just gonna be circling around the members coming from the side of Blacklist International and the northern side. In the meantime, Icon finds himself in such a bad spot. As such, he's gonna be finding himself knocked out by the opponents down the southern side. And that is gonna be putting them down onto the ground and sad as they cry. But now, Blacklist International, with only 2 of them available, found themselves dead to the hands of Auto Knockout. And do note, Auto Knockout, all of them revived. So I'm surprised to still see them in this game. However, from this point onwards, I am very skeptical to their winnings because now Pin did manage to give his opponents Dyren lead while a grenade explodes in the face of the adversary, leaving 2 other members coming from the side of the Overdose, dealing with all kinds of adversary. 2 versus 4, definitely not gonna be good right here, AJ.
Yeah, let's see if or not AKO will be able to finish this off. It's a 3v2. Dung now very low on that HP. Dyren has to back away from this engagement, but he takes the flank situation, the flank position, and now that puts him in the best spot as Toby with the Charge Buster manages to get the down. One final player now. Dung. Dada gets taken out. Dung eliminated as well as AKO. Secure the booyah.
What a booyah onto the side of Auto Knockout. This is just a series of very confusing plays. I gotta say, not gonna lie, time and time again, the teams are just out to prove me wrong. I've seen the kind of play style, and of course, I'm looking at the comments that I've written for them. Of course, when it comes down to on paper, some teams definitely look strong, and some teams definitely look kind of weaker. In this case, Auto Knockout in Group A and C is understandably one of the weaker teams because of the the team that is that's most inexperienced, but somehow they managed to come back into the game by understanding the fact that, well, they gotta play a little bit more safe, and they went on the game, beat the two other members from Blacklist International, which is rather unfortunate for Blacklist International because they have been heavily wounded in the war before.
Yeah, this is no surprise, right? Auto Knockout is the team that picked up the first spot in the Free Fire Challenges Philippines, and in the grand finals, they just couldn't cut it against Vete Esports. But even if that was the case, they still managed to pick up the second place. And yes, they make it through to the MCP Major Season 3, but the Filipinos find out that the battle against the Malaysians hasn't gotten easier. It has always been a dominant showing by the Malaysian side, and that trend will still go on to continue. It is going to be an uphill task, an uphill battle for a lot of these teams in here from the Philippines, but they just have to focus on continuously trying to identify those drop zones as well as all of those flank and rotations in towards that final zone. As far as going in there to learn, it feels like they've been doing quite a good job, Abstract.
Well, I gotta have to say yes. They are definitely doing a pretty darn good job. In fact, I will probably say that to quite a lot of different teams in the game so far too. But the same as it is, you know, when it comes down to different meta, different places, different ways of playing, when it comes down to MCP Major Season 2, it's just very different kind of play style. They all want to play in your face kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let us just invite Danielle back onto the panel and see what she's got to say about the win by Auto Knockout.
Oh, it's just a very clean win. I don't really think there's anything outstanding with what they did, right? I thought maybe just sending in the one guy to sort of rush in, and then he just gets bum rushed by, what was it, Dadat? He came in rolling on his motorbike. He was like, I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm coming to save my teammate. They managed to gun him down, and I thought, like, maybe is this the comeback time? But nah, they got rushed in. It was very unfortunate. I was cheering for Overdose in that last moment actually. I was thinking like, hey, these guys it's a really good team. But even though they came second, I'm really excited with how Overdose is performing today.
Yeah. They
They have basically top 3'd all their games so far. We've played 3 games for this squad. They've got 1 more to go. Whereas Geek Fam, they weren't able to quite make it. Unfortunately, they dropped a little bit soon. So maybe we are starting to see the cracks in Geek Fam's armor, where they're very comfortable against Group A, but Group C seems to be a completely different monster for this team.
They still have one more opportunity though. Right after the break, Geek Fam will still be playing against Group C, and we're just focusing on Geek Fam here because after such a tremendous opener of the day against Group A, where they seem to have no issues whatsoever in terms of climbing up to the #1 spot, raging in terms of their kills, they seem just so subdued when they step up against Group C. And you know, just picking off on some of the points towards Group C in itself, with the early engagements that Vete Esports was taking up against Axis, this is the fight this time around where I expected Axis to win as usual, but Vete Esports with a great comeback this time around, Abstract.
Well,
Yeah.
when it comes down to Axis versus Vete Esports, I'm just not really. Both of these teams kind of have the same power ranking, so it really boils down to execution, and I gotta have to say, good job to both.
Absolutely. So here's the standings for the round that just concluded. So our first game between Groups B versus C, aka Ligers with the Booyah, and also raking in 9 kills, will top the charts with 21 points. Blacklist International, though they made it to 3rd place, they were able to creep in to 2nd place thanks to the total kills. They are tied with Overdose, but because they were able to sort of beat them in the kills game, they're actually technically in 2nd place. Now, on the other end of the bracket, WTG Expert and Umbrella Reborn, not really a great day for these teams, unfortunately ending in 11th and 12th. I feel particularly bad for Umbrella Reborn. This really hasn't been the day for this team. We really saw them pop off during week 1, and then it just seems like someone pulled the rug from under the squad coming into week 2. I'm not sure if it's a case of teams starting to figure them out, or if maybe they're just getting... Some people hate this. I sometimes think luck plays a really big role because you really don't know where some of these teams are dropping.
No, when it comes down to that, I would definitely agree, right? When it comes down to Free Fire, it is very luck reliant. However, how the team plays is also very
Mm-mm.
important. But because when it comes down to Umbrella Reborn, they are a team that has been playing with one another for the longest time ever. They really have
Mm-mm.
played with each other a lot, but it doesn't seem like they're improving.
Yeah, I hate to say it, right? But it's like, it's good that the team's staying together, that they're fully committed to actually trying to make it to these big tournaments together. But you sometimes have to think like, we've been playing together for so long, but is it a case of something needing to change? We'll have to see what happens with this team. But moving on, here's our schedule for today. We've played 3 games so far. We've had Bermuda, Kalahari for groups A and B, and we've just finished up Bermuda for groups A versus C. Now we're going to jump into Kalahari in just a moment, but before then, we're going to go for a quick break so that the players get a break, we get a break, and most importantly, you guys get a break as well, which means you can go to the toilet, you can grab your snacks, you can call a friend to come over. We don't really care what you do during your break. All that matters is that you come back for the next game and conclude Group B versus C. But before we go for our quick break, Abstract, AJ, do you have anything you sort of want to say before we head on out for our 5-minute break? We'll start with Abstract.
Well, yeah, honestly, I don't really know what else to say because the games are actually very confusing to me. And I think I need to dabble in MCP a little bit longer and see exactly what all of these teams are doing. But this confusion is actually pretty darn good because I can never be right in my prediction.
AJ?
Overdose Esports, I think they've earned the spotlight for themselves. 3 matches now, they've done pretty well, and now the final one is their opportunity to show exactly what they're made of before we kind of see them say bye-bye for the rest of the day, right? Geek Fam, on the other hand, like we mentioned earlier on, it is their opportunity to strike back against Group C, but I don't know exactly how far that's going to go. But the main one, Danny, is the battle between Axis as well as Wayday Esports, which I think is going to happen again.
After this break. See you soon.
Can they address the board? Some of the most dangerous players, Eva Radicals, yes, from the back, but it won't be.
Welcome back, everyone, to the MCP Majors Season 3. It is Week 2, Day 1. That is right, Day 1 of Week 2. And the action is not going anywhere. We actually have a lot more matches coming up for all of you as we are halfway through today's games. And so far, we have had a lot of surprises. A lot of surprises. Now, we're halfway through the match of Groups B versus C. My goodness, the groups confuse me a little bit. But it's been very interesting so far. We have seen the domination of Geek Fam during the first half of their matches as they are in Group B, but then we're starting to see them struggle in Group C. So we'll have to find out today, is it a Group C factor or if it might just be a map-by-map cases. Now, but also jumping into Kalahari, I know some teams are very favorable on Kalahari. I know Geek Fam is actually a pretty notable team on this map. I'm going to start with AJ this time. Do you think, from what we have seen thus far, we're looking at a Group C curse for Geek Fam, or is it a match-by-match case?
It's not a match-by-match case. The data has shown that Group C is the pain point for Geek Fam so far, and that was just kind of solidified after the previous matchup. But you know, there's still options, there's still room for Geek Fam to kind of turn things around. But just with that one game alone, Blacklist International has already jumped up back to the #1 spot. And this is Kalahari. I don't think they're in the mood to drop it anytime soon.
Yeah, this is one of Blacklist's strongest maps, actually. Good catch there, AJ. But Abstract, do you... So, I mean, we've had this discussion quite a lot, but I want to know from your heart, okay? Not just from the data, but from your heart. What do you think is the case here? Actually, I'm going to hold your thoughts there because we have something more important coming up. It's the giveaway for today. So if you didn't know, we're giving away a code for 2 Lightning MP40 boxes for all of our lucky, yes, you are very lucky to tune into this broadcast, very lucky viewers. It's a gift from us and Garina to all of you as a thanks for tuning into the broadcast and also supporting the MCP Majors Season 3. Can you guys believe it? We've had 3 seasons of MCP so far, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Oh, of course. Not anytime soon.
I hope not. I would love to.
Keep rolling.
Where's my MCP?
No, we're not going to stop. We're only going to go bigger and stronger from here on in.
It's like this year is 100, it's like 120, 100. Man, we've gone over 100 with the MCPs, but I'm loving it. We're getting so much fun action, not only to watch, but we also get some free goodies. I'm very sure if someone started a fresh account and they just tuned into every MCP broadcast, I think the character would be pretty decked out really quick.
I'll have to agree with that.
All right, so I do believe we're going to jump into our match in 20 seconds here, but let's sort of play with the dark here. I want to hear some predictions. Who do you feel like is going to take this map? Let's start with AJ.
Oh, that's a tough one. Blacklist.
Blacklist. All right. Abstract. Silence.
Put you in the spot.
Overdose?
Good choice. I probably agree with you there. All right, so as Abstract is maybe a little bit overdosed here with some free fire, I'm going to throw it over to our wonderful casters for our 4th game of the day. It's Group B versus C. It's their final match against each other on none other than Kalahari. Abstract and AJ, take it away.
Thank you so much, Danny. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Flight Kalahari as we swoop on in towards the map. Let's see exactly which one of these teams manages to find their drop zone in here. Stone Ridge, you know exactly how popular it is for some of these teams. And as far as Geek Fam is concerned, they are almost never disturbed whenever they hop on in there. But this time round, things can change around, right? Because they seem to show some signs of weakness here. And when they are showing those signs of weakness, it's the best time to strike, Abstract.
Well, strike while the iron is hot. Well, that's what they all say. So when it comes down to the first part of the game, like before the first circle, before the 3rd circle, just go around, kill, and fight as much as you want, because at that point in time, not a lot of vouchering happens. In fact, for MCP Majors Season 3, we don't even see a lot of people going for vouchers. So honestly, I don't see a reason why you should not be picking up fights. In the meantime, unfortunately, we missed out the flight path, but it's okay. This is interesting because almost every single team has got a place for themselves. Notably, we're looking at Umbrella Reborn. They have 2 members pretty far apart in Old Hampton. Two other members in Foundation. I don't know what's going on there. Beta Esports is spread out pretty far ahead, like a barrier to keep Geek Fam down in the southeastern part of the map.
Vete Esports is in a terrible location right now. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, right? Vete Esports, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's the drop size that they choose here. Forbits will be able to find a long-range shot, and yes, you may have downed a Geek Fam player, but you've also now pissed them off very early on in the game. And Vete Esports, they don't have much of a ground to kind of go in here and poke the hornet's nest just yet. So I hope they know exactly what they're doing here, Abstract.
I really don't know what they're doing. Indeed, I mean, yes, even if you are able to knock someone down, but at what cost?
Yeah.
What is the value in doing all of that? Yes, you'll be able to buy some time for your team to eventually come closer, but I don't think that you necessarily need to shoot someone down to do that. If they are in position to attack, then you knock them down. That would have been the bigger and better
good one.
play.
What a great nade. Yes, the time turner did pop out, but it's just a tad bit too late. Let's see if or not Man04 will get taken out of the equation. Let's go. Does manage to get the kill, all thanks to the initial flash freeze that he tossed on towards that roof. Exact now. He has got the vantage point, bird's eye view onto all of these other players. McRory gets caught in his crosshair, but none of those shots will hit him. Exact still has got the roof with him, whilst Orid as well as Fricky immediately back away from this engagement. They want to play survival. They've already lost one player, and when it's Man04 that's down, you know by any chance whatsoever you need to now survive this. Man04 is one of the slayers of the squad. Orin is, there as well. The rest of the team is gonna be in good hands, but it's just not enough, Abstract.
It is not enough indeed. Right now, Axac's positioning is utmost importance with all the verticality, and this is where he will be able to get a lot more information regarding the teams. And I don't think that he will be able to see where Forbits actually is, which is literally gonna be at the ridge behind of him. And I believe that one well-timed shot right into the heads of Axac will be more than enough to completely shut down Geek Fam and potentially throw them off to 12th place.
Well, Exact now taken down. Orin from afar, and let's go! Manages to shoot him down as well. Fikri, final player. Question is, can Vete Esports find them? And this is what I was talking about. If any team wants to go in here and punish the players of Geek Fam, they can most definitely do that, because Stone Ridge is just a constant for Geek Fam when they hop on into Kalahari. But now, if they're not able to shut down Fikri, it's gonna be a GGWP. The rest of the players of Geek Fam will be right back into the fray for a little bit of revenge later on. But for now, Vete Esports has done enough.
3 points to their name just because of the fact that they managed to cripple the members from Geek Fam. And Fikri, now he gonna have to run, and he gonna have to run to somewhere that is safe. Whether it has a vending machine or there is a revival point that you can revive your friends for free. Where exactly are you heading, and what is going to be the best choice to do? And right now, what is at the top of his head is literally head down south and just play right at the foot of these mountains and hope that he will be able to do much. In the meantime, it does seem as though WTG, they have got a fight in their hands.
Yeah, Umbrella Reborn, one player down onto the ground already. It's a 3v3 as the player from the side of WTG gets picked right back up. Ijat Sir now jumping in with the Mac-10. You have got the close range combat ability, but the problem is you need to cut that distance a little bit closer. No name down onto the ground. Ijat Sir for the finisher, but first he tries to check the area out first in case he gets backstabbed. Kaz will be able to find the slice onto the one and only X-Bot. And sorry, not X-Bot, but it doesn't really matter as we get the names confused in here. But just so many of those battles just breaking down all at the very same time. The players of Overdose now trying to catch WTG as they back away, and it's not gonna be any easier for Neon Skezla as he goes on out of there, bike on fire, but he still survives.
Overdose, right now, this does seem like their playstyle. They prefer to play it safe, slow, and, very calm. Perhaps this is the true nature of Overdose and how they have been winning in a very commanding fashion. Not exactly winning, but consistently in the top 2. In the meantime, it kind of seems as though we do have a couple of things that's going on around the map. And Blacklist International already have a total of 2 kills to their name, but who is it that they have killed? That is the main question. While Do Easy at the top of the refinery, they do have some verticality to themselves. Also, 2 kills to their name. So I believe that Blacklist International and Do Easy probably work technically hand in hand to bring one team out.
Week 2, day 1 seems to be a horrendous start for the side of Axis Esports. Not so sure exactly what happened to this team. They used to be one of my favorites. The ex-Freedom Rumble, the ever so aggressive squad. Very early engagements is usually what they focus on. This time round, whenever they do hop in here for an early engagement, they get shut down. It might just be the way the day has started off for them, but they still have 2 more opportunities later on against Group A. So let's see if or not they will be able to step it up over there. Blacklist International, on the other hand, they are being gate kept in here, but it's not going to be a situation that they cannot kind of go up against. As Do Easy, yes, they do have the vantage point, but the circle is very much on the side of Blacklist International. And yes, although they get caught in a danger zone, that compound should help them get away with it easy.
Blacklist International, they may actually have a very high chance of winning this game just because of the positioning in this circle and where everyone else is. I will break down to you guys in a short bit, because right now we do have Ego Oblivions that did manage to find Overdose, and this is definitely not a good fight for Overdose. We do have one person that's going to be at the top of the watchtower, and that is going to be Pin. He did manage to kind of evade away from Ego's line of sight, but that doesn't bring down the fact that Dung has already been taken down, and there isn't a lot of place for Overdose to eventually go. As such, Ego Oblivions, they can just stay here however long that they want and just kind of keep Overdose in here. They do have a vehicle though, so I'm looking forward to see what Ego Oblivions have for an answer.
Well, they run away. That's exactly what their answer is. They
Okay.
do not want any part of this engagement. They don't know who they're taking on. They don't want to find out anytime soon, as Jacob leads the squad out of this area. Pin still tries to take down their glue wall. You go right ahead, sir, and waste all of your bullets, the players say, as they back away from that compound. Do Easy, on the other hand, still holding on to the bird's eye view, trying to find any one of those players who will step on in front of them, but it is behind them that the attack approaches on from. Icon, Mio's on the bike, a lot of sound there, I'm sure, and the information onto the side of Too Bad, but he has got no sight, no knowledge as to exactly where those players are. Just from the sound of that motorbike, he will be able to warn the rest of his players. AKO, on the other hand, will be taking on Vete Esports in a little bit, and let's not say a little bit, right, because they've already started those engagements, and Vete Esports is a little too close towards the edge of the zone, and that might prove to be trouble if they don't start moving. Even if they do start moving, that's a lot of trouble, because you're going to be wasting so many of your glue walls out here in this battle.
Well, Vita Esports, they're just gonna be wrapping all the way around and hoping that they will be able to evade auto knockout. Regardless where they are going, Vita Esports is actually pretty darn good. Because one thing that I want to talk about is the fact that human traffic is a very apparent thing. And we should be expecting a huge crowd that will be happening at the northern part of the refinery, the western part of, I believe that it is Bayfront, if I remember the name correctly. I gotta have to pull the map out real quickly and just kind of, yeah, correct, western part of Bayfront. But in the meantime, let me continue that in a while later, because it does seem like WTG Expert has found themselves a single kill onto one of the members here, and that is gonna be one member from Overdose. They're heading their way over to Bayfront, and exactly as what I thought. We do have a couple of more people in the western part of Bayfront, more people in Refinery, which I'm very surprised, as GeekFam finds himself inside of Refinery, fighting against Icon.
Yeah, one with a backstab. GeekFam now have lost Man 04. Exact down onto the ground as well. The Charge Buster on for the play. Man, he does have the double barrel on himself. Let's see if or not he will be able to close the distance. Flame with the Charge Buster as well. The rest of the players on for the GeekFam. It does not seem to be a good play, as Fikri backs away. Solo player, if he does not make it to that revival point, that's it for the rest of the squad. AKO, on the other hand, with the strong fight against Vete Esports, although they hold on to a compound, 2 of their players down onto the ground. Feitan as well as Dyron still surviving. This will be a equal fight if they can keep on the pressure, but it does not seem to be the case. Dyron very slowly healing himself up right now. Feitan with a good grenade. Daymoon in a lot of trouble, but it doesn't seem to be a takedown just yet. As he heals himself, Feitan misses, and he wastes 2 of his very precious grenades.
It does seem like it did not clip him at all, and that is very unfortunate. In the meantime, Let's Go is just running. Let's Go! As he's waiting for the members from Auto Knockout to climb in. The grenade, unfortunately, really didn't do much on the members from Auto Knockout, despite the fact that they are literally just right outside of the window. And now the circle closes in. They're just pushing Auto Knockout into the house. And Let's Go is not really doing much. He's communicating with his fellow friend while Phaeton runs into the house together with his fellow friend, vaults right out, only to be killed by a single charge buster, leaving Let's Go and Daymoon 1 versus 2 brings AKO Ligers right out of the game.
The action doesn't stop. Icon, they continue the fight against Ego Oblivions, 4-man strong. The players of Icon now going in for yet another squad wipe. And Ego Oblivions, as they try to get away, Jacob in the vehicle, is it going to be set ablaze? Yes, he gets slowed down and he lags out there for a couple of seconds as well. No knockdown coming through as My Son just barricades himself with all of those glue walls. My Son now, let's see if or not he can hit down Man. He does get that shot, one in there for the save, and the glue wall will be able to protect them just for the time. Second, My Son, he does manage to get Man, and he himself gets knocked down onto the ground. Mio backstabs him with a charge buster, and that's a great play from the side of Icon. But now 2 more left, and Jacob, he strikes back from afar.
Oh, what is going on here? Jacob from so far away, coming in from the side of Ego Oblivions, looked right up into the sky, into the horizons, and just be like, yeah, I hear someone. Let me get a couple of shots onto them. And indeed, he did. He gave them and let them eat lead. With a total of 10 teams remaining here in Kalahari, as the 4th circle slowly envelops the entirety of Kalahari, 10 teams left, and they have to do whatever that they can to stay alive and to stay as long as they could, as every single point matters. And now, Blacklist International. Previously, I talked about the fact that they are in the best position, and of course, they are in the position whereby they can definitely win in the game.
Oh, what a fun.
But this time, now, the positioning is going to be wrapping Veda Esports into the palm of their hands as they slowly start a fight against them. Probably Zapnu, as he starts off with a shotgun shot.
Yeah, this is the end of Wayday Esports. 4-bits now getting chased down. Oh, a great time turner just to extend his life a little bit. But Zapnu, he's not letting him go. Has got the double barrel in his hands, and that's the finishing shot. Wayday Esports gets eliminated through a very well-executed strike from the side of Blacklist International, just wrapping around them, and that flank just proved to be way too powerful. Even though they did not have the zone moments ago, they sneak on in towards the next save zone. WTG very close to the players of Do Easy, and that's going to be a tough fight for them, just because behind the horizon it is the players of Geek Fam squeezing in towards the next zone as well, and they have to go through those squads.
All of these teams, they are playing with their brains. All of them understands what they gotta do, and they're not just mindlessly charging into team fights and just expect that they will be able to win games. They make sure that they calculate their odds, and this is why 7 teams is still available while 14 minutes, or rather 14 minutes and 30 seconds is about to elapse right now. Blacklist International, total of 6 kills to the name, and we are looking at the next circle right smack in the center of Bayfronts as Ego Oblivions finds himself knocked right down. Phoenix did manage to get a single knockdown with a grenade onto Edge of Sir as they continue to rain more shots down onto Umbrella Reborn. Will he be able to bring down the rest of the members of Umbrella Reborn, or will he be the one to be knocked out instead?
Yeah, Phoenix has got the backup from Cobra. He loves those CQC, manages to find Ijatsa, immediately puts him down onto the ground. Umbrella Reborn, one final player. Cass! What a turnaround! But now Cass, can he finish off Phoenix as well? Charge buster in hand. Phoenix has to barricade himself with the glue walls instead, and that provides Cass a little bit of extra time now to pick up the rest of his team members. Ijatsa right back onto his feet, which just puts Umbrella Reborn in a great position to pick up the booyah for themselves a little bit later on. But here comes the finisher from the side of Tactical Index. They want to be the third party. They want to take all of the wins out of this by knocking down these players, but they themselves get put down onto the ground. Phoenix,
Oh!
they strike back.
It's a
Tactical
bait!
Index, that was the wrong move.
It's a bait! It is all just a bait! Vouchering apparently sends you to the death and sends you down into the ground. Put the final nail in the coffin by the hands of Blacklist International. A total of 9 kills to their name right now. They are really very happy with what they have gone with 4 other teams that they're gonna have to deal with. One thing for sure is that Umbrella Reborn will be the easiest target that they gotta go for. And the next person that he gotta kill is literally gonna be Cass. And even if Phoenix were to go down, he still have 2 other members that can eventually help him out here. Taking any more damage from the storm will prove to be very deadly. As such, they gotta have to make their way in as Blacklist International. 2 men left. They're starting to move their fight down onto the members from Do Easy. Is this really the right call? Or is this the worst call of their life?
Gas kills off one player from the side of Blacklist International and picks up his team member right back. Pablo manages to get up onto the top of the roof. Time turner now by Zapnu, and Pablo finds it tough to take him out of the equation. And now Zapnu steps up, but too bad with a backup, gets him with a headshot. And now the players of Do Easy right back in the driving seat. Let's see if or not they can drive this all the way down to a booyah. Lux, the final player from the side of Blacklist International now. Cass right down from the side of Umbrella Reborn. Do Easy in a great position, and Cass shuts down Lux. Lux managed to help out the players of Umbrella Reborn by knocking down Jess Boo. But can Pablo now put the rest of the squad in front? Ijatsa in a very tough spot. If they do not have that grenade launcher on them, it makes it a little bit more difficult. No way to get up on top of the roof. Pablo now wasting a lot of time. Pablo, can he stay alive? He does stay alive. Umbrella Reborn, they get taken out of the equation.
And just like that, Do Easy gets herself the booyah coming into the final game between B and C. Walking away with this booyah definitely make it so easy to their name, and just kind of seems as though that they didn't even break a sweat. Congratulations, Do Easy. They must be really happy with what they got, but I think that I gotta have to talk a little bit more about our constellation winner over here, and that is Umbrella Reborn. Where did they come from? How is it that they managed to stay alive from Blacklist International for so long and still come to get themselves the second place of this game?
The answer is Cass. The answer has always been Cass, and he was going in there, continuously fighting, putting up a strong challenge for the rest of those players. And now, at moments where he was about to get taken out of the equation, Umbrella Reborn, I believe it was him as well as Ijatsa left in that final circle. And multiple times, Ijatsa got knocked down onto the ground. Not only did Cass have to deal with the players of Blacklist International, but he also had to babysit Ijatsa, right? He had to continuously pick him right back up. And, you know, he had the shotgun in his hand, man. All he had to wait for was for one of the players of Blacklist International to just aggress upon him. And with his mechanical capability, he very easily takes over the position, right? But Do Easy with their vantage point up top on the roof just made it way too difficult. And of course, they played the numbers game against them as well, Abstract.
Well, all in all, I am just really happy with the way that MCP Major Season 3 is going, has been unfolding so far. I really like the fact that, I mean, it's kind of like a got good, got bad kind of scenario, right?
Yeah.
Because I love to be right. I love to be able to predict what's going on. But when it comes down to MCP Major Season 3, I can't predict anything. It kind of seems as though there's so many things that is on paper that shows that a certain team is good, a certain team just isn't as good. I'm proved wrong. Because all of these teams just plays really safely, and they are not the kind of team that will go out of their way just to go for some cheap kills. What do you have got to say, Danielle, as we invite her back onto this panel?
Firstly, I want to say, all hail Pablo. That roof play, I think that is really what set that end game for the team, right? Like the fact that they had control of the roof and he was able to get that headshot as he fell. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. So they secured the roof, and what do you do when you have such a good high ground advantage like that going into the final circle? And that rooftop was practically almost the center of the circle as well. He had plenty of time, plenty of room to just basically do whatever he wanted. So
And sorry, just to chip in, Danley.
Go on.
Pablo was actually very lucky because at one moment he almost got taken out of the equation, but that was the second where Too Bad had his back, right? A headshot from the bottom where he didn't even have much of an angle to play with, and Pablo survived, and he just stuck onto the top of the roof even after the zone had already left him, right? Decision making at its finest, that Danley.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just got to take that risk. But he also probably felt compelled to do it because he knew he had a lot of his teammates alive. He just said, like, hey, we got 4 of us, right? Like, we can kind of, if I mess up, I can sacrifice myself. We got 3 more players to compensate. But he got the playoff, and I think that was really just what nail in the coffin, the jewel in the crown. I don't know how to describe it, but it just secured their victory for that match. It was just a fantastic way to end the round. Anyways, okay, I'll ask the questions now. I'll let you guys just sort of chill out.
Okay.
The game was very chaotic. It was very, very exciting. I had so much fun watching it. I was eating dinner at the same time, actually, which, let's be realistic, watching the games and having dinner or having a drink, the peak.
Nice being you. I want to be the host next time.
Peak esports. If you want to swap, let me know. Let's quickly go through the standings for our second match of B versus C. So AKA Ligers, 12 points, 9 kills, and end the round with 21 points. Whereas Blacklist International, they may not have gotten the booyah, but they did manage to get second place thanks to their 9 kills. They do tie with Overdose, however, but I think for Blacklist, they're going to be more than happy to end the day with those points. But I know the discussion for us has been mostly on GeekFam as to whether or not they were going to be able to end the series with a bang. And so far, the stats are not lying. It wasn't a bad round for GeekFam per se, but they did get terribly crippled. I kind of want to ask you two about the GeekFam situation, right? Like, they've essentially lost everybody very early on. It was only Fikri who was able to net the points for the team. What ultimately happened for GeekFam that ruined the game for them?
Everybody knows exactly where GeekFam drops in. For Kalahari, it's a constant. It doesn't change. You drop into Stone Ridge, you will find GeekFam. And Bete Esports made the very... For me, it was a dumb decision, right? You do not take on GeekFam early on in this game. They almost got taken down. And come on, they've taken the fight up against Axis one too many times, and they've paid a big price for it. But this time, their gambling kind of, paid it to, their way. They managed to get the initial shutdown, leaving just Fikri all alone. And it was just an unfortunate situation for GeekFam from then on because they just couldn't bring back the rest of the players. There you go.
They are very consistent time and time again. It's just one game that they didn't get consistent. So I think that we can cut them a break, right? Overdose.
They did great. If anything, my expectations for Overdose were not that high. I liked how they played during week 1, and I thought to myself, this is going to be a dark horse. It's the team that you really want to look out for, and they exceeded my expectations for today. If anything, I'm looking forward to Saturday and Sunday, see what happens for this team. But very quickly, let's take a look at the overall standings. Everybody has played, but teams in Group B have concluded all their matches. Teams in A and C still have 2 more games to go. Blacklist have reclaimed first place with 211 points. GeekFam, unfortunately, will be dropping down to second place with 195 points. Third, Overdose Esports. All hail Overdose Esports, the newcomers, the dark horse. I love the theme. Overdose Esports, third place. Todak, 162 in fourth place. And then we have Dooeasy in fifth place with 153 points. Gentlemen, is anyone surprised by our overall standings? No? Okay, we can move on. Kidding.
Okay then.
Abstract.
No,
I want to hear from you. I want to hear from
Okay.
you. Are you surprised with any of the standings here today?
Okay, technically speaking, yes, I am. There's a couple of things that I am generally surprised. Number one, the fact that Blacklist International is very consistent with the way that they've been playing to a certain extent, that their rank and their kill points are pretty much tallied out. That means that it shows that
Very
there
even.
is some consistency to their game. In the meantime, GeekFam is the kind of team that that goes crazy, or they just become small little tiny little hamsters, whereby they have high kills but low rankings. That means that they are just not consistent, a direct opposite of what Blacklist International is. And finally, Overdose. Where did they come from? They're a very new team. But yes, it's a team name that has been heard in the Free Fire scene without a doubt. We have heard it time and time again, sometimes only. They're not very active, but this very lineup of Overdose, the players in Overdose right now, they are all new and they had no previous appearances.
Yeah, you see the headshot from Too Bad. That was the most important headshot that he took just to back up Pablo early on. And the AC-80, right? 2 shots back-to-back on target. You get the extra bit of damage as well. But the Charge Buster in the hands of Kaz, the Charge Buster on its own seems to be just the pure meta this time around, guys.
That was actually something I wanted to point out, because I know, especially in today's games, we've been seeing a lot of teams make plays with the Charge Buster. Like, what is it about the Charge Buster that is making it so good today that we didn't see last week? Let's start with AJ, since he's actually talking about the Charge Buster first. Let's go
I'll
with the
be happy to
momentum.
break it down, right? Charge
Please.
Buster, it is the shotgun that I absolutely love because of the deadly combo. You close the range between yourself, and your opponents, and you will be able to fire up upon them. But it just requires a high level of mechanical capability because you're supposed to charge that shotgun up. You overcharge it, it pops off, and reload on that gun is a little bit slow. So you have to be able to control it really well, and that's exactly where Kaz is just so impressive. Not just Kaz, the players of GeekFam as well. But unfortunately, we just did not get to see them aggress in the past 2 matches because of Group C.
Anything to add there, Abstract?
Actually, no. AJ has pretty much said what needs to be said about Charge Buster. It's a very versatile weapon. People are just looking for shotguns, and shotguns that is not overly punishing if they were to do anything wrong. So there is a good and bad when it comes down to Charge Buster, but people are looking more towards the optimistic side of Charge Buster, and that overruled many of the other shotguns out there, particularly in the damage department.
The one other shotgun that can probably, take the cake away from the Charge Buster would be the M1887, but we just didn't really see that so much on the battlefield, Eddie.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, it looks like we're ready to jump into game number 5 today, but this time it's going to be A versus C, and let's see what kind of dynamic we're going to be looking at for these 2 groups going head to head. We're going back onto the beautiful sunny shores of Bermuda, and I'm also going to throw it to my wonderful casters, AJ and Abstract. Take it away.
Now it is a time. Match number 5. We're coming close to the end of day 1. And we are introducing Group A and Group C. Literally the grouping of death. And I will say that A and C is indeed a scary grouping. Yes, we no longer have GeekFam, but it's okay because now we have Orange, Bloody Heads, Todak, Hard to Get, as well as Eastern Wolves gangs. Oh, not to forget, we also have Script Shots. But in the meantime, let us just dive in and have a short little breakdown regarding the map, as the flight path is going to be cutting right through the center, and it is going to be from 9 o'clock, ending off at 2 o'clock, cutting through Hangar, Bimasati Strip, Mill, and in between of Keratin. A lot of these teams definitely have a good time in here, and more enough time for them to find a place of their own. But Todak, as well as our very friendly friend here, it does seem like Script Shots also, they are very competitive.
Yeah, feeding time for the players of Toda if they can manage to find all of the guns early on. Let's see if or not this will be a situation that pans out well for them, as Bloody Heads just beyond the horizon will be looking to flank right on in as the third party. They have been one of the aggressive teams of MCP Major Season 3. You know, blowing hot and cold, sometimes things do go their way, but let's hope they will be able to find that consistent momentum on their side. Script Shots, on the other hand, have done quite well to avoid the line of sight against the players of Toda. You can see Ames already aiming, trying to find a kill, trying to find a knock for himself, but they're not going to be able to get away with it that easy. But I really respect exactly what Toda is doing. They are pulling on the flank very early on, and they want to get the whole compound covered in terms of taking the fight up against Script Shots. They're preparing for this early.
In the meantime, now Todak and Script Shots. I don't have a lot of information regarding Script Shots, but Todak, more or less, yes, they were undoubtedly one of a team that was initially named after, or rather, they were Argon MY. And the way that they play is understandably relatively aggressive at times, but they also know when they should be pulling back. But sometimes it is just about the team formations that sometimes baffles me, and it kind of gets me surprised as to what they are really doing sometimes. But this time, it kind of seems as though they do have an idea how they will want to fight against Parent, and the rest of the members coming from Script Shot.
Halfpix manages to find Parents, one final player on the side of Script Shots, and it most definitely was a great feeding time for the fishes on the side of Toda, the champions of Free Fire Challenges Malaysia and the potential champions of the MCP Major Season 3, perhaps, if they can continue all of the momentum that they carry in from FFCM. So far against Script Shots, they've managed to hit hard, with Rose being the final player, managing to back away. If he can get to that revival point, he will be able to bring the rest of the players right back in here and reset this for Script Shots. But here it comes hard to get, and it might not be a great end for Rose as he gets caught by Jay-Z.
God.
Those long shots just a little too painful for Script Shots to swallow.
Okay, not gonna lie, that is just unlucky onto the side of Script Shots. They find a fight against Todak, and when you find an opportunity to run away with only one person remaining, that is the best thing that you can ever do from a losing fight. There's no reason for you to continue a fight. There's no reason for two person to run away. I mean, technically you can, but at least there's some form of a fighting chance, if I may. But with one person running away, this pretty much means that you fully maximize your early game time to fight other teams and try to get more value in the initial part. Unfortunately for Script Shots, they didn't even get a single kill to their name. And to make matters worse, they got vouchered to a certain extent by Hard to Get, which came out from absolutely nowhere. Back onto the narrative of Todak. They finished a kill. They finished a team. And now it is going to be another team that they got to fight against with, and that is understandably going to be Tactical Index. And they are one hell of a scary team.
Tactical Index is going to be in a lot of trouble here, but the danger zone just saving Tactical Index by the fraction of a second there. Tactical Index sitting down dead last in the competition at the moment. As they take on the Kings of Malaysia, it's not going to be an easy battle at all. And look at Do Easy, just Tom with a beeline straight for the rest of those players. But Toda do not want to wait. They do not want to open up the table for anyone to come in here and test the mechanical capabilities. They back away from the danger zone. Not even one of those strikes hitting them, and I count that as super duper lucky.
Well, doesn't seem like they will be giving up chase soon, I guess, as a lot of them, in fact 3 of them, they have their own vehicles, and the way that they are running kind of seems as though they are running away from the northern side and wants to run towards where Todak was, and the way that they're moving is going to be in between of Mars Electric. I think that they will want to get themselves inside of Mars Electric, and that way they're probably gonna find Bloody Heads inside of that, moving more towards the northern side. But right now, it is all about the movement and the positionings that can be very unexpected. In the meantime, sorry, I got a little bit thrown off by a couple of random names in the middle of the waterbeds down in the southern side.
Well, the players of Orange Esports getting quite lucky in there as they avoid the shots of Axis. They were going in there for the hunt, but now the zone just forcing Axis to reposition themselves. They've got the vehicle on them. Cobbs now just being the point man, getting all of that initial information as he aggresses on forward, trying to see if or not anybody else will be standing in front of them to take the shots against the rest of his team members, but he finds absolutely nothing. So that just clears out the path for the players of Axis to continue moving on forth. They might come across the players of Hard to Get who are already in battle against Bloody Head. But now, here's what we're talking about. Mystery Tower in play. Two players off the side of Hard to Get up in there now. Can Bloody Head punish them?
Bloody Head. They are the Philippine team that I find to be very strong indeed. This time, it is their time to show that they are worthy of a slot into the next part of the MCP Major Season 3. They gotta work a little bit harder. Their team has been rather consistent in terms of who is who, and they didn't really change too much about their lineup. This time, they'll be taking a fight against Tactical Intex, which on paper have got quite a bit of changes. Undoubtedly, still a relatively strong team, but they haven't really been performing a lot. So let's hope that they'll be able to do a good amount onto Bloody Heads, only for me to jinx them out. Or perhaps a little bit of a difference in between, as in Tactical Intex, 1% down, Bloody Heads, 2% down.
Oh, make that 3 mark now. The sole survivor on the side of Bloody Head. They took on Tactical Intex when Tactical Intex had the vantage point. They had the vertical advantage against them. And now as Leaf tries to spray down the final player, he manages to get the shot. And Tactical Intex finds 4 kills off of the players of Bloody Head. It's just a little bit unfortunate, but that's exactly how the cookie crumbles. And now Tactical Intex, with these 4 kills, can they snowball it all the way into the final zone? Ego Oblivions now approaching them ever so slowly, and the players of Toda step up onto the plate to see if or not they can tickle the players of Art to get off of this mystery tower.
The most important thing is that they have the verticality. And of course, the next most important thing is that they have something that allows them to deal a significant amount of damage from a far distance. We shall see if whether Hard to Get have got that in a while later. In the meantime, we're going to be taking a look at Blacklist International. Unfortunately, one of their members did not connect into the game, and thus, the only 3 members that we have from Blacklist International is going to be Lux GZ, Phoenix, as well as Cobra. Where is Zubnu? That is the main question. Let's take a look, as Phoenix is literally between of Spade and Too Bad.
Phoenix, Charge Buster in hand. Jesbu trying to find the flank, but Phoenix spots him out. Has got the VSS in hand. Will be able to play that mid-range engagement as well and make sure he does not get flanked around. Cobra still standing, but make that none as Do Easy snuffs out the players of Blacklist International. What a play!
I'm very surprised why Blacklist International was under or rather in the southern side of Kota Tua to begin with. They have a very significant numbers disadvantage. They understand that it is definitely a 3 versus 4 no matter where they go, unless they go towards the later part of the circle. And this is 9 minutes into the game only. 14 minutes into the game, we would expect maybe 7 teams remain. That is the point in time where Blacklist International as a 3-man squad should be able to do at least something and have some form of impact on the game. So I'm not too sure why were they there in the first place. They probably should exercise a little bit more caution whenever they know that they have 1 man down.
Tactical Intex are now taking on the players of Orange Esports, not by their own choice. And the players of Orange Esports, as they open up fire, they will have the assistance of the blue zone, just pushing all of the players of Tactical Intex closer in towards them. But they cannot play this a little too cheekily because that zone will be forcing them towards Toda in a couple of seconds as well. So it's all about how much of risk these players want to take. And look at the smarts coming out of Tactical Intex. Not only do they disengage, but they put so much of that compound between themselves as well as Orange Esports. And Orange Esports stirring the hornet's nest now, shooting against the players of Toda. Toda, if they start firing back, when that zone starts closing, it's gonna be the end. How will they manage this situation? Orange Esports running straight on here to engage with the players of Toda.
I'm just waiting for the point in time whereby Toda eventually pierces right in between of their hearts with that very, very sharp beak. kind of a beak thing of theirs. I mean, they're a swordfish after all. I'm not too sure whether they even have a beak to begin with. But one thing for sure is that we're going to be looking at a couple of chucking of grenades onto the ranks of Todak. But unfortunately, none of them is taken down just yet. Jabad, he finds himself HP down low, taken down by Jay-Z, coming in from hard to get. Apparently, someone, and that is hard to get, they're somewhere else. Yes, they're at the top of the mystery tower, and thus all the other teams around the vicinity, they should be really careful with how they interact with this team around the area. And in this case, Orange Esports, if you want to fight, you gotta have to go bold and deep into the house if you want to fight against Todak.
Spark now, Mag 7 in hand. Is he going to be able to spray down these players? And the high fire rate of that shotgun should give him the advantage close range combat. As Todak now holds down to their compound, they want the players of Orange Esports to come in here asking those big questions. And look at the 40k, all of the barricade that they set up in front of them with the glue walls as well as Time Turner, just waiting for Orange Esports to come and say hello. But still, Orange Esports not over aggressing just yet. One player steps on into the fray, but gets caught out with yet another glue wall. The barricades just do not stop on the side of Todak, but they shouldn't be wasting way too many of these, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. They still need it for the final battle, for that final zone. Rybel now inside of the compound. Afix brings out the mini Uzi to take him on point blank, and they do have the charge buster on them as well. Rybel, this is just a battle between the two squads, and neither one wanting to give in.
I'm just kind of surprised why they are just playing so passively. In the meantime, we're just going to be taking a look at Orange Esports currently with 3% taken down. Todak as well. It's literally going to be 1v1 versus Storm versus Spark. How exactly is this game going to be like? In the end, it is going to be Spark that manages to find a kill down onto Torm. Todak, they have spent a little bit too long in that specific house of theirs just to play passively. And that wasn't exactly the way that it should go. They have used way too much glue wall just to play safe, and thus the glue wall economy now has been heavily crippled. And to make matters worse, their numbers is also crippled with only 2 members to their name. Anything else and any win from this point onwards will be a miracle, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Todak will be able to tunnel their way through and crawl their way to victory if the situation allows them to.
Yeah, and do easy, shutting down the players of Eastern Wolves Gang and finding Kotatua in terms of the location they want to approach in here for the final zone. Such open grounds. Here's where all of those glue walls are going to come in super handy. Toda going to be in a terrible situation later on. Unless they can find a squad, wipe them out, loot out all of those glue walls and still be viable for that final battle. Shadow now from afar. Neptune manages to take Sparks out of the equation. Toda still hurting. Jay-Z with a backstab has got the shotgun. Double barrel, but Jay-Z himself gets sprayed down too easy. Still holding on to this one final player, and he ducks down. Hard to get eliminated by Do Easy. 10 kills in here so far. Nobody steps into our circle.
Well, we gonna have to talk about the spade play in a while later. I will recap whatever has happened right there. But for now, we need to focus on all the 4 teams that's currently available in this map. And right now, Veda Esports, they are still alive with McRory. He may be knocked down, but it doesn't mean that he's out just yet. Ames finds himself knocked down and dead. And that's the entirety of Todak that will be taken out. Do Easy, Spade, and Too Bad. The last 2 members remaining coming from the side of Do Easy, Axis Esports. 3 of them remaining, and Vede, 4 person remaining. It is literally a 2-3-4 game. This means that Vede Esports, understandably, they do have the numbers advantage, and they should play with utmost caution if they really want the booyah.
And Vede Esports, they have got the positioning as well. They pull in there the flank. Let's go, just keeping the pressure onto the players of Do Easy. But Do Easy, they have the zone. And as the players of Vede Esports now close the distance, trying to get into the next zone, they have to hope and pray that Axis Esports can distract the players of Do Easy for just a little bit. But that's not going to happen. Daymoon just keeping their eyes onto Neptune. Xbot now closing that gap. They want to take this fight. Forbid steps on out. Neptune in a lot of trouble, but finds that compound, uses his a little bit of backup as well. Charge Buster in their hands. Daemon, Forbits will be able to find Neptune, and they still stay alive. 2 more players on the side of Do Easy now as they reposition themselves. They know Vete Esports with Let's Go is on the right-hand side. They also have to focus on Daemon on the left-hand side. Let's see exactly how this action now breaks down as Vete Esports needs to close the distance with the glue walls, but Daemon has absolutely 0 on himself.
Honestly, right now, it doesn't really quite matter for the start of Do Easy, even if they get the booyah or do they not get the booyah, because they have a total of 14 kills to their name. Vayde, 2 of them taken down. What's going on? We have the booyah taken by the hands of Do Easy, despite only having 2 members against 3 other members from Vayde Esports. Do Easy, they definitely made their mark as the team that made 2nd place in MCP Season 2, wiped out Vayde Esports like no tomorrow. It's like they are on a league of their own.
That's why your mama always told you, save those glue walls for a rainy day. They didn't do that, and Do Easy finds it way too easy in that open circle to take those finishing shots. And, you know, one would have hoped for Vayde Esports to do slightly better, but considering how they've been doing in the competition so far, this is already that better. So hopefully they can continue to find this momentum in these matches, especially for the final game that's coming up in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the highlights, Abstract.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about whatever that I want to talk about just now, right? I believe that Spade play coming in from Hard to Get was one of the biggest plays that I've seen so far coming in from NCP season 3. Like, what exactly happened there? Most importantly, it is all about glue walls. The glue wall play. How the opponent see versus how you see. So apparently it does seem as though for Spade, he understood what kind of positioning he was at, and he adapted to the situation even when the glue wall landed in a way that he didn't want it to. Whereas there is a huge opening at the bottom part because of the fact that we are looking at a ridge. It is an upslope. So when he threw the glue wall, it's completely in a wrong angle. Take a look at this. He's just in the small little corner, crouching down. He has the perfect angle to shoot anyone tries to come in between the small little crevice, while he hides in that small little angle that completely covers him because of that slight curve from a glue wall.
And a great complimentary point is the fact that he had the auto shotgun on him as well. Insane fire rate, high clip size. It's got 8 of those clips out there just to snuff out all of those players. And they were all so close to him already, trying to get as close as possible to the glue wall, not even knowing that there was that gap there for Spade to fire back against them. It was a terrible call from the players of Hard to Get, but as far as Spade is concerned, he will welcome plays like that anytime, any day. But let's welcome Danley right back onto the panel. What do you feel about that matchup, Danny?
I want to say hello, Do Easy. Where have you been so far? I'm really glad to see Do Easy really starting to step it up as a team.
Yeah.
I think all of us, we definitely agree that there's a lot of talented players on Do Easy.
Yeah.
But one of their biggest hurdles thus far has been consistency, right? Being able to maintain a certain performance over the course of the games. But we do remember, right? Like Free Fire, there's RNG, there's the luck when it comes to looting, the lack of information, because let's be realistic, you don't have information on where everyone is coming. Sometimes you are just strategically going to be at a disadvantage. But I think this might be a sign that Do Easy is finally going to become a monster of a team. Not just on grand final days, but a team that is going to consistently perform. And I'm really excited about that. Sorry, continue.
It's the theme of the competition this time round, right?
Yes.
Hashtag Road to Redemption, and Do Easy is most definitely on exactly that. The Road to Redemption looks to be absolutely perfect for them as they secure such a solid booyah, 28 points overall. Hard to get behind them, but quite a stone's throw away. 13 points, equalizing together with Toda, who picks up the 3rd spot. Vayde Esports as well with the 13, but unfortunately for them, they will only manage the 4th position because of their overall kills, just managing to scrap away 4.
Yeah, Vayde Esports, they're slowly chipping away at these points, but I'm still concerned for this team, right? Because there's so many expectations for Vayde Esports coming into the tournament, and we just haven't seen a day where Vayde has been able to maintain some level of consistency whilst also being able to stay at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So...
and I kind of know why, right?
Go ahead, please. I'd love to know.
In the competitions of all, you always used to see McRory absolutely popping off. He is the Kobe of the squad, but the grenade plays out of McRory this time around seem subdued. In fact, they seem non-existent, Danny.
It just seems to me that this team is probably still too reliant on McRory. We've got the post-match data here, but just something that really, really gets me for Vete Esports is just that we haven't. I mean, we've seen it already, right? I keep saying this. It's just the consistency. They can't find that stable performance, and it just feels like it's because everyone is trying to ride the McRory boat, and there's just too many people trying to get into this little boat that this boat is preemptively sinking into the ocean while they're trying to sail towards first place. So I don't know if it's a case of, do we need to change players? Do we need to change overall play style? Is that a strategical issue? But so far it just feels like if McRory isn't putting the work in, we don't see anything coming out of Vete Esports.
But I'm just wondering if or not that is intentional, isn't it right, Abstract?
Do you want to do something like that intentionally though?
Okay, so when it comes down to intentional, like not performing well intentionally, there have been teams that actually do want to do that because they want to hide a couple of their cards, and that is what I have been sifting through my my charts and my graphs and not graphs but my charts and sheets and all that kind of stuff, right? And I'm trying to understand what kind of gameplay and how Vete Esports usually play. Is that really something that they usually do? Not exactly. Because when we're talking about league circuit, they are actually a team that wants to play their all, especially in league circuits. If I do go back all the way to MCP Major Season 2, for their league circuit, they are all the way at the top. They beat everyone, inclusive of Tactical Intact, Fastkill MY, AKO Legend, 4X-Men, which is now Orange, Blacklist International included when it comes down to the league circuit. And if I were to talk about anything that's more recent, Vete Esports, they lost to AKO Ligers just by a short, tiny little bit, but undoubtedly still beat many of the other teams here, such as Bloody Heads. We've got Ego Oblivions, which is all the way at the bottom, Axis, which is another Axis, all the way at the bottom as well. Most importantly, Vete Esports, they are on League of their own in the Free Fire Challenger Series Philippines Season 1.
But it just, now we're starting to get more of a glimpse of these two regions. And is it maybe just a case of Malaysia overall being a stronger region? Is that maybe another possibility? Because we did see on the leaderboard today, at the beginning of the day, it was all Malaysia. I think the Philippines only broke top 8. They had a team in 8th place. That was the highest Filipino representing team. Is it just because Malaysia is good, or are we still? Is it just too early to say? I want to say it's too early.
Right? I mean, yes, the Malaysian teams are supreme. Yes, they are slightly better at Free Fire, and they have been such a huge challenge and annoyance to the Filipino squads. But at the very same time, Vete Esports is not hitting like how Vete Esports usually hits. Their play style has drastically changed. Vete Esports, you know, it's not common to see them go and share a drop spot with some of the other teams, because one of the things that they pride themselves on is those IQ plays. Very early on in the game, they want to make sure they focus on the loots because of what McRory wants to do in the final zone. He always wants to collect those grenades for himself, which is something we do not see them do this time round. And I feel like they are kind of playing this up a little bit just so that they do not seem to be the threat of this competition. I will not be surprised within the next week or two, all of a sudden we see them starting to climb up the leaderboards a little bit faster than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I hope that's what's happening with the team, because if they continue at this trajectory, I don't even think they're going to make it to top 12.
Yeah.
That's the scary part, right? If you don't make it to top 12, you're not even going to make it to grand finals. But still, fingers crossed for this team. I know there's going to be a lot of fans cheering for Vete Esports. I hope something changes. I'm not saying a patch change or a map change, but just the team finds something and it works. Most importantly, it must work. But we have one more game for today, so we're gonna turn our frowns upside down. We are a little bit worried here for Vete Esports, but we'll see if they can turn this around. We're gonna be finishing up the day with Kalahari for teams in groups A versus C, and I can say that Abstract, he's hard at work looking at his data. Now, looking at the teams in groups A versus C, Abstract, I'm gonna try and see if your data is gonna be able to help me out here. Looking at your information, what teams in A and C thrive on Kalahari? I want to know all the top teams that perform well on this map.
All right. So when it comes down to teams that are really good at Kalahari, I do not have that information.
putting the man on the spot, Danny.
You let me down.
What
Well,
did you do to you?
Okay, here's the thing. So he comes into the broadcast and he's like, I got this extensive information and stats. So I get excited as a host because it means like, oh, I can ask him all this like nitty gritty stuff. And then he turns around and he's like, according to my stats, I don't have this information. Thank you, Abstract, to make my job absolutely easier. All right, so I guess off the top of our heads, because we've seen these teams play, right?
Yeah.
A and C. What teams are we gunning for on Kalahari?
I mean, Blacklist International, that one's an obvious one,
Clear.
right? But this time around, I think Toda will be striking a little bit harder than they did earlier on. You know, it's not the kind of team that performs badly round after round after round, most of the time because they have got a very, very strict, at the same time, cheeky manager. Managed to meet the boys just last week. And, you know, they've got great synergy with each other, right? And one of the greatest things about Toda is the fact that they are never say die attitude, as well as the fact that they are pretty hard on themselves every single time they go down. So I think we should keep an eye out on them.
All right, Abstract, your choice for team?
I'm gonna stick to my guts. I'll say Vede Esports, despite
Wow.
the negativity towards them. I think that it is time
Dedication.
for them to roll. Yeah, I think that they gotta have to wake up sometime. And I hope that today is the last day that they will let people roll over them.
All right, let's see if your prediction's going to be correct. I would love to see Vete Esports take this game. It's game 6, folks. It's Kalahari. It's teams in groups A versus C. Take it away, my wonderful casters.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this time around, as we hop on through the flight path, cutting through Stone Ridge all the way down to Foundation, and Vete Esports do not have to bother with Geek Fam sharing their drop at Stone Ridge. This time around, they get it all for themselves. But Axis will find the players
Oh
of
my
Bloody
God.
Head, and this is gonna be one heck of a showdown, as Axis now are the first ones to drop in to go ahead and loot this spot up. But Xbot now just finding himself the SMG. Can he keep all of those players at bay whilst the rest of his team members continue looting up the area? Neptune already finds the charge buster for himself. Cobbs has got the vector, so close quarters combat, Axis will be able to shut down Bloody Heads. And now this is very dangerous. If you are Bloody Heads, you want to keep the distance away from the players of Axis.
I really have no idea who's going to be the one to come up on top of all of that. But the main point is that whoever has gotten more of their comfort weapon, the better it is. At this point in time, Axis understood that they are in enemy's territory and they are treading on very thin ice. So the best thing that they can do is, if they do want to move with one another, if they want to move from one place to another, they gotta have to move with one another. So in this very case, they are playing with a little bit of a verticality disadvantage because of the fact that a couple of the members coming from Bloody Heads, they do have some nice cover for themselves. As such, Axis, they don't have information as to where some of the members from Bloody Heads is. So the element of surprise undoubtedly will be in favor of Bloody Heads. As such, Axis, if they continue on with this fight, being so noisy about wherever they run, wherever they go, they are probably gonna be capped.
Well, Shanks has got the P90 on him, which is going to give him that insane fire rate that everybody looks
Morgana,
for
what do you
in
do
this
there?
free fire battlefield. Now, that pressure from the flash freeze just forces Axis to reposition, and that gives the opportunity to Morgana just to hold that compound a little bit better. Axis Cobbs now cutting the distance, jumping straight on out. Double vectors, time turner pulled out, and Cobbs gets no kills. The players of Bloody Head back away, but here's the P90 for the shot, and that insane fire rate gets both Neptune as well as Cobbs down onto the ground, and Axis Esports eliminated just like that.
Element of surprise! That is what we're talking about. Not exactly the kind of element of surprise that I was expecting, but all in all, I would gotta have to say that the time turners that's being pulled out from the members from Bloody Heads definitely came in clutch, and they are very well timed. Axis, Axis, Axis. I can understand what they're trying to go for, and I can understand why they're being very bold in the way that they play. They will want to go in hard and rush at their opponents, but unfortunately, they're just not connecting their shots. If they connected all of those shots, then undoubtedly, I would say that that is actually a very good way to attack Bloody Heads. But all in all, the most important thing is, if you don't land your shots, nothing's gonna happen.
When it comes in here for the early engagements, it's all about who gets the loot and who gets the better loot earlier, right? And that P90 in the hands of Bloody Heads just proved to be the weapon that sliced out all of those Axis squad players. And they just have to understand that as far as command post is concerned, it is always going to be the home of Bloody Head. And if Axis wants to go in there and continuously fight, this is going to turn out to be a grudge match. Eventually, it's going to turn out to be an ego test. And I really don't want to see that pan out because, it really puts the teams into a 50-50 position. You really don't know who's going to get the better gun at the end of the day.
Right by Mammoth, as we're going to be looking at, it is going to be Eastern Wolfsgang. So far, we haven't really seen a lot of things that has been going around with Eastern Wolfsgang. They have been relatively quiet, and I'm just expecting to see what is going to be happening for them. In the meantime, Torm, his HP has dropped all the way down low, right by the southeastern side of Mammoth, and we're just going to be expecting them being knocked out time and time again, probably because of the verticality that Eastern Wolfsgang have got on the top of their heads. In the meantime, we do have a very good idea as to how the circle is going to be panning out right now. So I'm going to take this chance to talk about it before it disappears, is that, well, it is pretty central. A lot of these teams will have a relatively nice spot for themselves. I'm not going to be expecting a lot of movements coming in from any of these teams. As such, if they were to go out for a fight, it is only because they would want to reposition themselves. As such, I'm just hoping to see someone move onto someone and, technically get a kill.
Yeah, Kalahari, it's the kind of place where you don't really want to aggress all that too fast unless you've got that vertical advantage, or at the very least, you've got the grappling hook to change your position at a moment's notice when you get into some of these battles, because it makes the difference over at Kalahari. And as the players of Orange Esports meet the Eastern Wolfsgang, who are playing that buddy system separating from each other, they might just get third-partied, and that's not going to be a great situation for them. Orange Esports immediately repositioning themselves, moving towards the sub, which is going to prove to be quite a great looting place for them as they back away from that engagement. Thoda finds the players of Ego Oblivions. My Son sprayed down onto the ground, and Spark is the gunner, and AimJ now the next one in his crosshairs potentially.
Dodak now is just going to be moving up north, all the way from the western part of Kalahari. They're all moving in tandem, literally in unison, and I just want to see where they're going to go from this point onwards, because I did talk about the fact that the circle is relatively central. A lot of these teams are inside of the current circle, so there really isn't much need for them to move too much around and about. But all in all, none of the... I'm just surprised. Even though some of these teams are actually moving, they're not exactly finding people, which is kind of weird. Not a lot of them is just bumping heads with one another. And I just want to see kills, discord, massacre, and blood spilling in the deserts here of Kalahari. But they're not giving it that to me. But with the new circle coming up to the northern side, this pretty much means that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have western, when it comes down to the western part, we've got a good amount of people. Yeah, this is kind of like the same thing. The way that all of these teams are spread out across, we are not going to be expecting a lot of players that will fight with one another. They're just going to be crowding around the extremities of the newer circle. At most, we're going to see EWG. They head their way over to the northern side of Foundation and just find themselves a fight. That is probably the only thing that I would expect.
I'm surprised that Thoda didn't really go in there for the chase, but now as they position themselves, they find Script Shots, who takes those open shots even without waiting for Thoda to get into a prime position where they will have the advantage. Amateur mistake by Script Shots, and hopefully they don't pay a high price for that. Look at the flurry of glue walls now being pulled out by Thoda prematurely just to give themselves those early cover, and Time Turner's not gonna, the Flash Freeze is not gonna be hurting those players all that too much as Thoda now closes in towards the compound of Script Shots. One good grappling hook will put one of those players onto the roof, and that is the end for Rose. But Rose does have the Mag 7 auto shotgun, and that's the best weapon you want to have to spray down your opponents. Here they come up top onto the roof, but Rose backs away from that engagement.
And just like that, Hydro just going to be finding himself a good amount of knocks and, of course, a good amount of connects onto the members coming from the side of Script Shots with a single grenade just going to be tossing over the wall. But unfortunately, not going to be able to connect onto anyone at this point in time. Shahid currently with a sliver of health, just going to be getting himself med-kit up. But Hydro down with 130 HP, only to find himself eating a bunch of buckshots in the face by the members coming from Slick Shot. Even though it kind of seemed as though Slick Shots were backed against the wall, they somehow still managed to find their way to turn things around on top of Todak and bring them down. It does seem like their amateur mistake did not bite them at all.
Oh, absolutely not, man. Amateur mistake for that early engagement, but the finisher was Chef's kiss. Do easy now. They take on the players of Vete Esports. A couple of glue walls just to shut down first Jesbu as well as Pablo. Only one left in here. Forbits as he tries to get away from the situation. He needs to stay quiet. He needs to keep his head down low. 6 glue walls on him, which means he can play defense as he tries to back away from this engagement and do easy. If they manage to find him, yes, they can put on a lot of pressure, but the only way to finish this off now is for all of them to be on the hunt, but it doesn't seem to be the case. One player flying close in here towards Forbits, and this might just spell the end for Vete Esports. But as I say that, do easy, they back away from the player of Vete Esports, and Forbits will be able to survive a little bit longer. Bloody Heads flying in as well, and they will be the challengers for Script Shots next. Morgana straight down onto the ground. John Blue will be taking those shots, but Kaloy with a great time turner as well as the glue wall picks up his buddy, and they back away from that. Bloody Head still in here for the fight, but look at Rose, over aggressive on top of the roof right now. One grenade in hand. Rose needs to go in there for the toss.
And just like that, he's trying to get all of the shots down, but in the meantime, it does seem like Blacklist International did manage to get himself a decent amount of shots down right somewhere. And they managed to bring down a good amount of members coming in from the side of Do Easy. Morgana finds himself knocked down. The grenade, oh no, the flash actually did manage to pop off around the Kaldi, but I don't think that that's going to make that big of a difference at this point in time. Slick Shots, apparently, all 4 of them is still alive with a total of 7 kills to their name, and maybe actually just running down in the face of Kaldi. How is it gonna be like with Bloody Hands taken down by Slick Shots? What is going on here? How is Slick Shots taking teams one after another?
Double barrel shotgun, mag 7. They have got all of those close range combat supremacy on their side, and Script Shots now with one more opponent in front of them. Eastern Wolves gang, are they ready for this battle, or will they get shut down finally? Kaizen with a great time turner as well as a glue wall just to buy himself a little bit more time. Rose flies in with a mag 7 but gets sprayed down. Monito will be there. Eastern Wolves gang now putting Script Shots down to the ground. Baron, final player for the side of Script Shots. Can he survive? Rose now on the ground. Jay-Z goes in for the finisher. Baron shuts down Jay-Z, but Script Shots will not survive that as he gets taken out of the equation. Vete Esports will strike from the back. Eastern Wolves gang, as they win that encounter, they now need to look out for Ego Oblivions. The numbers game on the side of Ego.
Just, Script Shots, they have essentially worn my heart out from that game. Just from this game, they showed me how they can play, and I will say, data, statistics, they don't say much of a story at all. They can be new, but they can also be dangerously new, and that is going to be what I'm going to be calling Script Shots, the rookie killer, or rather, the killer rookie, rather. I want to see more Script Shots in the upcoming few days. I want to see them coming up for tomorrow. I just want to see what they have got in store for us. But them being eliminated here, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Hopefully, when it comes down to the overall points, they still have got quite a story to tell.
Yeah, at the moment, they haven't really made it into the top 12 just yet. But if they can continue producing plays like that, it's just a matter of time before they climb into a comfortable position. But it's consistency that is key here in the competition within the group stages of the MCP Major Season 3. And let's see if or not Script Shots can bring that consistency out later on in day number 2. Blacklist International, just beyond the horizon of the next safe zone. Do Easy, once again, comfortable. What's up with Do Easy today, Abstract? They are so on point.
I have no idea, but one thing's for sure is that they are on fire.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
definitely just snowballing their way through, and I do love to see that going on. Instant Wolves Gang taken out, and number 7 as Ares literally broke no sweat at all as just whip up his sniper. Not exactly a sniper, DMR, I can't remember what was that, but he did manage to put a really good lead onto his opponent's body and fill them up very, very nicely. And this
RNG's
point in time, I want you to take a look at Vedi. It's 4
Yeah.
bits. He's right there. Do you think that he will be staying alive despite being right on the riverbank?
Well, he knocks down AJ first. That's a great way to start. But the players of Orange Esports now, with their eyes locked on to Blacklist International. Blacklist International trying to gatekeep them, both of them outside of the zone. And no one can step on fourth just yet because it's just all open fields. Jesbu with a third party, and Do Easy wants to chip on in as well. And that'll give the advantage to the players of Blacklist International. But using this container as cover, the players of Orange Esports not wasting any of their glue walls at all.
Ego. They are also gonna be chipping themselves into this fight right now. Now, Orange Esports, they are literally backed against the wall. They don't really have much places to go. Literally every single part of their corners, there is danger. In front of them, it is Blacklist. On the other side, they have Do Easy. Behind them, that's the Storm. So how exactly are they supposed to get themselves right out of all the danger? And now the Storm is just gonna be consuming them as much as they could. While Do Easy, they're really happy with where they are, slowly letting their opponents get eaten out by the Storm. And there we go. With one of the teams and one of the members taken out, Forbits is still in the center there, playing as safe as he could.
Absolutely, man. We repositioned earlier on, but of course did not have the opportunity to bring in the rest of his team members for the play. The players of Do Easy now just closing in the circle little by little. Jesbu down onto the ground. Is he going to get saved? The answer is no, and it's Forbits that puts in the final bullet to the coffin. What a play. AWM in hand, and the guy is on absolute fire. Sorry, not the AWM. The M82B is what he has on himself, and he's just absolutely annihilating these players with it.
I'm just surprised. Why is he not punished? He's in such an open position to be sent. Okay, never mind. There we go.
Wow, right on point, right on cue. The players of Hard to Get now eliminate the final player of Vete Esports. Pablo still surviving for the side of Do Easy. They were doing absolutely well earlier on, and now with Pablo down onto the ground, Too Bad is the final hope. Can he pick them up? 5 of the glue walls on him. He gets them taken down one after the other. But look at Too Bad using just the tree as cover, putting himself in a great position to be saved.
And now Pablo is back onto his legs and feet. He's no longer on his knees, and that is going to give them additional hope. Okay.
Pablo, he picks up Too Bad, and then he himself trades his own life out. But now you see the farmers in the hands of Too Bad. Charge Buster as well. And the Charge Buster gets Too Easy. What a pickup. And Too Bad is way too bad for the rest of these players in here. Pablo, can he continue hitting in? Too Bad with the Charge Buster in hand. 3 more squads out there on the battlefield here, Abstract.
Let's go! Too Bad! He may actually stand a chance considering the fact that the opponents, the biggest opponents, now only left with 2. Too Bad, what are you doing? Never mind. He covered his butt with another glue wall. In the meantime, he is not actually alone here. If he and the other members here from Blacklist International were to loot out and just watch out for that one player that they gonna have to bring down, and that is gonna be hard to get, they will end up in a 1 versus 1 later. So now it is kind of like a gentleman's duel. Do Easy and Blacklist, they can't eliminate one another if they want to beat out the bigger beast here.
Yeah, but that's big brain play coming in from Too Bad. He tosses the flash freeze, and the flash freeze damages you over time, forcing the players of Hard to Get out of their position. And now Too Bad caught out in the open. Jay-Z with his Charge Buster as well. Charge Buster versus Charge Buster. Do Easy gets eliminated, and Hard to Get, they secure the final booyah of the day.
Oh man, the Blacklist International adversary was taken down, and because of him being taken out, it made it a lot easier for the last member to be taken down from Do Easy. It is literally gonna be that bastion, because these individual players are literally bastions. They cover for one another. And because of one person taken out, naturally, the next one will be taken out as well. And here we go. Hard to get. They managed to get themselves the booyah. And we have a Batman on the screen. Even though Batman is not playing in Hard to Get anymore, I guess this is kind of like their tribute. Wait, he kind of looks like Batman. Wait, that dude kind of looks like Batman. Is that Batman?
It might just be. It might just be a name change. But you know, my personal MVP in that final battle was too bad. Charge Buster Supremacy manages to get a double with that shot. The guy was just absolutely insane, right? As we opened up the day, it was Axis Esports that bit the bullet as they met the players of Bloody Head. And that's why I said, Bloody Heads, that is their house. Command post, you do not want to step on in there. Let's see if in the future days, they will go on and butt heads against each other over and over again. That's one thing that Axis has been doing. It's either VJ Esports or Bloody Heads. They're gunning for the Filipinos.
I'm just absolutely happy with how today has turned out. All in all of these teams turned out. They showed what they are capable of. And all in all, we have booyah that is widely distributed to every single team out there. In fact, I don't think that we have a repeat booyah of today. And that is kind of what makes things so it's kind of like a fresh point of view, right? First game, it was Overdose that got themselves the booyah. Game 2, it was Geek Fam. Game 3, it was who was AKO, right? Match 3 was AKO. Match 4 was Do Easy. Match 5 is Do Easy. And then wait, double? Okay, never mind. So we do have a little bit of repetitive, but never mind.
Whilst we allow Abstract to collect his thoughts, we'll back that.
I think Abstract is all over the place, but it was very amusing.
I'm getting blasted everywhere. Like 1 second is like tribute to Batman. Wait, is that Batman? Wait, do we have two double booyah? Wait, there's no double booyah. It's just like
My stats don't have
Good to have
Kalahari.
you back, Abstract.
It's good to be back. Oh my goodness. But no joke though. I thought it was just gonna be another Do Easy game, and I was sitting here and I was thinking, like, is this really happening? Is this really going to be another?
Yeah.
It didn't happen, but it was very close. And this is a really good sign for the team. I'm really excited for them. But unfortunately, I think it was Louis GX from Blacklist? Yeah, so the two individual teams, right? So the last player of Blacklist, last player of Do Easy. I wonder what the final circle would have looked like if they were able to get the elimination off, right?
Yeah.
If they focused together to try and get those eliminations. If it happened, who would have actually gotten the booyah at the end? It's a thing that could have happened, but it didn't happen. So we're just going to sort of sweep that under the rug, because we do need to talk about what has already happened, right? Which is the points that we have finished for today's games, and most importantly, what that means for the leaderboard. Because, gentlemen, it's week 2. Yes, it's only day 1 of week 2, but these points are really important now. We're almost, can you believe it? We're almost halfway through the season already. It feels very fast, but it's because we're having 3 play days over the course of 3 play days over a weekend, but very quickly. So Hard to Get, not only did they get the booyah, but they also ended the round with 9 kills, which puts them at 21 total points for this final game. Do Easy in second place, able to walk home with 16 points. Blacklist with 12, Scriptshots with 11, Beta Esports also with 11, Orange Esports able to rack up 9 points, E-Wolves Gang with 8, Ego Oblivions also taking home 8 points, Bloody Heads with 6 points, Todak with 2 points, and then finally Axis Esports and Tactical Intex unfortunately are not able to take any points from this round. Now, I want to sort of ask for some predictions here, gentlemen. Who do you feel has risen from their spot this morning? From this afternoon.
Do Easy, no doubt at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say Do Easy definitely will be flying up from their double booyah. Apparently, I don't even remember they got
my
double booyah today.
gosh!
Okay.
Hello, where did you come from? Where did you come from? Seriously though, this really impressive run from Do Easy. They absolutely deserve second place, especially with their performance that they put on today. absolutely phenomenal. They have proven us wrong in terms of consistency for today. Okay, the real test is if this continues on for tomorrow. And this is
They
actually...
haven't proven strong.
Shh. It could be a grouping thing. We really don't know at this point of time. But this is going to be really exciting for fans that are cheering for Do Easy, because this is a talented team that we really do need to keep our eyes on. Geek Fam, unfortunately, are going to be slipping to 3rd place. Now, this could have been avoided if they were able to at least finish in the middle of the pack during their second 2 games, but they really need to fix their issue with Group C. It's... I can't pinpoint it. I don't think either of you two have been able to pinpoint the issue. Maybe it's just overall playstyle, what the drops are, but like what. Geek Fam need to fix something. Hopefully it'll be fixed by tomorrow, because if they don't pick it up soon, I don't see this team being able to finish top 2.
Geek Fam, although we are not able to find out what is going on with them, I'm pretty sure that they will be able to figure something out one way or another, because they are all the way at the podium. So honestly, I think I'm okay with that. But let me just talk a little bit more about Orange Esports as well as Technical Intakes. Orange Esports,
Okay.
X4 X-Men. They are all the way at the bottom. What's going on? I need to find out about them. I want to see them play tomorrow and see what they do.
Yeah, but highlight here for 4-bits, right? The guy survived for so long. Just that one sniper rifle, putting on so much of damage out there. Gets a headshot in the time being as well. It's kind of outclassing the other players, but finally, of course, paying the high price by, giving away his positioning a little bit too early, Abstract.
Right, let's take a look at the team MVPs to conclude our matches for today. In first place, we have Blacklist International with 61,000 damage, 120 survival score, 80 total headshots. 80. But then again, we've got 92 on Geek Fam, who's sitting in 3rd place. But we're not going to talk about them. We're going to focus on Blacklist, because these guys have been impressive. But let's also talk about Do Easy here, because of all the teams in this top 3, okay, they have done the least amount of damage. What's going on here for this team? Is it a case of Do Easy getting more pickoffs rather than being the ones to make all the direct engagements? Because it looks like this team, just going off the score and the headshots and their kills, they're definitely getting skills. But is it just a case of just vulturing, third-partying, swiping kills away from other teams?
That could be the answer. That could be the answer. But usually when it comes down to that, I would just say that whenever in doubt, just say that they are very efficient from getting the opponents from 100 to 0. No other fights needed. Once they are down, they are dead. Thus, no further damage necessary.
Okay.
I feel like, Do Easy did so much right today, right? In terms of their positioning, in terms of their rotation towards those final circles, and all of their gunfights were absolutely insanely good. But that's the problem with Do Easy. They burn hot and cold. One day, they're absolutely fantastic. Now, the other day, they are nowhere to be found out there on the battlefield in the top 5. Yes, at the grand finals of the previous MCP Majors, they did manage to hit hard, just like today. But like you said earlier on, Danley, can they actually keep it up? That's the biggest test for Do Easy.
We're going to have to find out tomorrow, unfortunately. But thank you for tuning into the broadcast, folks. It has been week 2, day 1. Make sure to come back tomorrow at the same time. See you tomorrow.